The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
What's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 129. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
So, people, how you doing?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Happy Sunday.
Brett Murdoch.
Howdy, folks.
And Adam Vale.
Yeah, I've played a video game once.
Or maybe two, you know?
Yeah, maybe two. I don't know. Maybe.
All right. Hopefully everybody had a nice 3-day weekend. Some having a 4-day weekend because of Easter and stuff.
Went to church. Church today.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was like, am I burning? No, I'm not.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna get to it, but I never understood the whole Easter thing. It's like, okay, so rabbits lay eggs and then Jesus comes out of them. Like,
it's the dichotomy of like the having to do with the pagan shit and having to do with the thing. It's because It's because somebody said, "Oh, hey, wait a minute! That crazy like pagan holiday you're celebrating? Guess what? Jesus came back on that day. Isn't that such a coincidence?"
No, you need to answer a real question. Why is Good Friday called Good Friday when that was the day that he was nailed up?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's a good question.
Why do they call it?
Not to get into all the whole religious thing, but
yeah. I mean, do you guys know who Ishtar is?
What you call me?
Are you sure? Like a god?
Isn't that a really shitty movie that has Maureen Beatty and
an Egyptian god? I don't know.
It's a Babylonian goddess of fertility, sex, and springtime.
Yay.
So bunnies, eggs, fertility.
There you go. Thank you, Ishtar.
Party in the pants is what he's saying. Party in the pants.
All right. Quick thing here. Salazar Naruto 52, dude, you won the contest. Please hit me up. Come on, man. You want this code or not?
Are you sure it's not Salazar from Resident Evil 4?
It could be, you know.
He's like, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, hit me up, in the comments here on fucking Twitter at Romudeath. Hit me up somewhere, man. Come on. Otherwise I'm gonna give the code to somebody else because we had a couple people give their answers, so you're not the only one. So I'm gonna give you up until Thursday. If not, I'm gonna give the code to somebody else, man. All right. Let's get moving here. Starting this. Oh, by the way, no, final stage boss at all this week. I'm very concerned right now. I don't know where this man went.
What? He's mysterious. He comes in, he disappears, and returns again.
Oh, wait, what?
Final stage boss. For those who don't know, he was the guy that was always the first guy to ask us questions every single week for fucking years. And so when he goes missing, it's always like, what's going on here?
Well,
crazy.
obviously it's probably something important, but I know Final Stage has like 1,000 questions waiting in the wings.
Oh yeah. He says he has like a whole list of them,
Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah, let's get into it, man. Ikagu Raven starts us off. He goes, would you say that nowadays, if a game has Dark Souls-like mechanics or has a deep difficulty curve, that it will become an instant hit? He's saying that because of games like Neo, fucking Salt and Sanctuary, stuff like that. I'm gonna say not exactly. It depends on the game because was it something of the Damned? I forgot the fucking name.
It's like Legends of something. With that
that
bombed. Yeah,
there's been a few that bombed.
Yeah,
that was like Western Dark Souls. That did not do well.
Yeah, so it depends.
There's a balance there that most people forget. It's not that Dark Souls is hard. It's the Dark Souls is tough but fair, like a dad from the 50s.
I thought Brett was going to say, it's not that Dark Souls is hard, it's that you suck.
You need to get good.
Get good script.
I should have said that. But no, it's very fair. Like there are times where you're like, God damn it, this motherfucker. But at the end of the day, it's like this boss is totally beatable, and you don't have to necessarily cheese your way through it. You can beat him. You just need to get good enough.
Lords of the Fallen, by the way, Dustin.
Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, I had that one, and then I played it once.
Go ahead, Brett.
Well, so I think it's just if it rewards you well for doing it right, like the shield pairing in Zelda is super satisfying when you get it right, and it sucks when you get it wrong. So like I think if the mechanic is implemented well, then that's the difference. Dragon's Dogma, it was difficult, but it was fair, and it was a little grindy, I'll give it that, but Has Been Heroes, I've been hearing a lot about that. People are kind of all over the place, and a lot of people who've been playing it say, it's hard, and you actually have to focus towards, a goal. It doesn't let you, just meander around and do whatever you want. You have to kind of exploit the game mechanics and focus on building up your game crew. So, and those who have done it and who have played it that way really enjoy it. So I think it's a niche. I think if it does it well, there are people who are savagely hungry for those types of games, myself included. But don't just, artificial difficulty is a real thing. It's just the Dark Souls doesn't have it. And I think that's the difference is pain in the ass versus tough but fair. Tough but fair is going to it's going to get lauded by the community. And a lot of these difficulty-driven games, it's you can come out with all the marketing you want that says this game is hard. Until the community is like, this game is hard, you're not going to get those fans that are drawn towards it. Like I'll admit I've had a few times, like I'll be, I'll write off a game until someone's like, this game is really fucking hard. I'll be like, really? Like, is it actually challenging? Because I'm looking for that challenge. I'm looking for that sense of accomplishment, because I'm not a trophy hunter, but I like to challenge myself. So yeah, when I hear a game is hard but fun, like Super Meat Boy, like I'm all in. That's why I'm super excited to play Shovel Knight, because I haven't gotten to it yet, but man, I'm stoked for it.
What was your reason for never playing it?
Just never got around to it.
Yeah,
I don't even know when it actually released. I think it released during a lot of the trauma and turmoil with Rachel, so there wasn't a whole lot of video game playing in the last year of my life or so. I'm just now really being able to get back into it.
All right, anybody else have anything to chime in there? Like I said, it depends, because we've seen some games that do it well and are successful, and others, like Lords of the Fallen Dead, don't do it well and bomb. So yeah,
I think it is. It just depends on the. I agree with Brett. It's not, you have to get that right amount of fairness within there. I mean, some people believe that, Hip Hop Gamer think that the Dark Souls sorts of games are not fair, which the thing is that he, on the other hand, he's not a patient sort of player, and he's not going to sit there and try to figure out a pattern. If he doesn't see the pattern right away, he'll just kind of move on and be like, this game is not what I want,
Yeah. All right.
So
I think it's definitely turning into its own genre, though.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I see the beginnings of it. Yeah, I definitely see that for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
but it can saturate too, so it doesn't necessarily have to be good for it to not be an instant hit. Like, for example, first-person shooters. I mean, you would have said back 10 years ago that like the first-person shooter, like Call of Duty-esque type games were instant hits, but that market saturated pretty quickly. So it's possible that the Dark Souls type games can run the same course,
Yeah.
I mean, and there are also the sorts of games that don't pander to, kind of like new gamers, or like try to express themselves to a general audience, kind of like a lot of the action adventure genre tends to do. It's a sort of game that if you're familiar with that sort of with that sort of challenge, and you're willing to go with that challenge, it's it's not it targets that specific audience, as opposed to being like, hey, everybody can play. Everybody can't play.
But there's also a lot,
and then there's been that problem where a lot of people are like, I really want to play these games, but they're so hard. Oh well.
Yeah, those aren't going to get dumbed down. I think that's one of the reasons they kind of tied up the Dark Souls franchises. I think they want to, now that they've gotten some notoriety and built this niche, I think they want to release, kind of something like Bloodborne, not necessarily a direct Souls clone, but something in that vein, of the the area that they've mastered, that you don't have to know anything about the previous games. You don't have to know anything about the way that the world works. So I think they'll take those same mechanics and apply them to a new IP, and I think that'll be probably pretty wildly successful, because it's weird, each Souls game you see more and more people coming in, to the point where there's a lot of people who I would say borderline casual gamers, playing through Dark Souls 3 and beating it. And it's not that the game is easier, it's just that there's this kind of resurgence of, look, you have to learn to play the game. You can't just bullhead your way through it. Like, you can get really good at Devil May Cry, or you can just suck your way until the end of the game. Like, it as fun as it is to pull off sweet combos, and it's not the challenge that drives you. You can make it as easy or as hard as you want. And some people want there to be that hurdle there.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Hold on.
Oh, I saw that. All right, while that happens, we'll move on to the next question here. To Killax 214, he goes, and this is about last Throwdown Your Questions. He goes, Chris versus Brett had me rolling. Throw down. Thanks, Nintendo. LOL. So he goes, if the Switch wasn't released and Zelda only came out on the Wii U, do you think it would still have gotten the same sort of praise, or would its Metacritic score be in the 80s instead? No, it still would have gotten the same.
Yeah, it still would have been the same game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have been sold nearly as many copies.
We don't know that, because if you were forced to only buy it on the Wii U, I'm pretty sure those guys would have bought it on
I know
Wii
a
U
lot
instead.
of people that did not get the Switch that have a Wii U that kept it just for that and are playing it on the Wii U.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but the question was, like, would its scores be affected? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Oh, wait, you know what? Yeah, because then it would have been compared to just how other consoles and their games, and what was it? It was like 720 or something like that. It wasn't like 1080 or some shit. I remember they said something about the Wii U version had frame rate issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's the inferior version now of the game.
Yeah.
Sorry
Optimize
about that. That my cat knocked the freaking window fan out of the window.
Shit.
Damn.
Hey, it happens, man. But yeah, Manny, what do you think? You think Zelda would have gotten the same amount of praise if it only came out on the Wii U?
I think so. I think it would have. I don't think that the Wii U is integral to the
You mean the Switch,
Zelda.
right?
Switch, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think the Switch is integral to Zelda.
No,
Just like how I never thought that the Wii was integral to Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is still a decent game, regardless of what you play on. It only just has a dumb gimmick on top of it that makes you have to waggle your arm all over the goddamn place.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't think there's anything more to say about this. Yeah, it definitely would have gotten the same praises.
Yeah,
Not only that, but again, Zelda games, like Carlos has said, they're always graded on a curve too. So definitely would have been in the 90s for sure.
No, I mean, it definitely would have gotten a higher mark. I mean, it was set to go on the Wii U anyway. It's only a last minute decision. They decided to get it to port it to the Switch.
Yeah.
I the only issue with the Nintendo stuff is that it's sad that these Zelda games have to come at like the tail end of their little console generations. Every single one of them.
It's true.
Well, with the exception of the flying one, Skyward Sword.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's move on. I don't think there's anything more to add. All right, do you think the Scorpio will still support VR? Yeah, Microsoft's saying they are, so I don't see why they wouldn't. But okay, I think he's asking that because VR is more or less dying out. You think Scorpio will still go ahead with this plans? I think they've already invested enough money. They probably have no choice but to go through with it.
The thing is that what money do you need to invest? You only need to make sure that the goddamn helmet works on the freaking console, really.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the other thing would be like, okay, because those VR headsets need like cameras, right? Well, enter the Kinect. You can buy, maybe they can make a deal with one of those companies. You buy an Oculus, or you buy the other one, and you buy it with a Kinect.
Has there even been a plan about what Microsoft's going to do with VR?
I've heard some rumblings, but I'll be honest, I haven't really looked into it that much.
I don't think
He said something about like, yeah, we'll just stand back and watch, see how the industry develops.
They're talking about VR stuff, but I don't think they're going to fully commit. I don't think they're going to go out and make their own headset or anything like that. Again, they're just going to use whatever's out on the market to get that thing to happen. I think with the kind of back and forth of Windows games, you could have those sorts of Windows games work on the Xbox.
I think you'll see him jump on it if you start seeing games like Resident Evil that aren't Resident Evil supporting it. Like the Resident Evil is the weirdest thing that happened because everybody was so psyched to play it on VR, and it did what it was supposed to do well enough that it drove consumers away. So like in hindsight, it was one of those like Resident Evil is probably not the best game to be able to be played in first person, VR or non-VR setup. Like I like the option to be able to choose the way that you play, and like even Hulu asked me if I want to watch in VR whenever I pop it in. So I can pop on my headset and watch it on what appears to be the giant movie screen. But I think if more games came out that were like, yeah, we have VR support for shooters and things like that, then Microsoft would be like, oh yeah, no, we're compatible because we're Windows based and you have Oculus Rift. But even then, man, like that's gonna be a really tough sell for a lot of people because you're gonna have to then get the Scorpio, which is gonna be at least $500, and then you're gonna have to get the Oculus, which is like $600, and then the controls, which are another $100 on top of that. You're looking at still a $1,200 investment.
Yeah, no, that's true.
For something that you can't upgrade. I mean, at that point, you may as well spend another $200 and put everything in a PC format that you can upgrade.
Right.
Wasn't Microsoft talking about partnering with someone? I remember we talked about this like ages ago now.
It was the Rift. It was supposed to have support for the Rift.
They were gonna do like a lower level like entry point to like VR. They were gonna have like something that's like lower tier. I don't remember, but yeah, VR is I don't know. It's still, we still don't know if it's gonna be like going on in the next couple of years. I don't know how much in mind developers have VR like planned when it comes to when they're developing games and stuff like that.
It doesn't seem like a lot, which is a shame. It kind of seems to be the same deal with the Vita. Like, here's a good piece of hardware. Anybody want to do anything with it? Anybody? No.
Well, third party's still doing stuff with the Vita. So they're the ones keeping that alive. Just putting their shit over to it.
I think the thing about it, it's also the fact that if you start, innovation in a lot of ways isn't profitable, and for a lot of these people to kind of put themselves on the line to do these sorts of developments, there's a good chance they're going to totally bleed themselves out of business. Yeah. So you have to be able to balance the innovation with the eventual hit you're going to take if it doesn't do well, right?
Yeah, that's why I wish they just make more. I don't want VR specific games. I just want VR mode in some of my other games. Download pay me for the extra time, or make me pay for the extra time the developers spent. Like, if you wanted to, and this isn't me because I can't play Fallout anymore for personal reasons, but like if I release a $20 DLC pack that enables VR mode for your PSVR in Fallout 4, and see how many people buy onto that shit. Like then people would be like, oh shit, well, for the price of this VR headset and another $12 on top of it, I can play through, this first person game in virtual reality. That sounds really cool. Even things like The Order, like I would have loved to have played through The Order in VR. Even it being a short experience as it is, like that's a very cinematic experience that would have translated very well. They don't really have any real games, or the ones that they do, they're still being baked. Like we're about to, one comes out I want to say the summer, and one comes out this winter, if I'm not mistaken, but it's been a second since I've checked. So it's just there's no games for it. This is something like, I have it, I like playing the games that I have, but there's not anything new, and I've played all the VR experiences that I like, and now it's just middled with shovelware, like ooh, Ghostbusters Firehouse Tour for $6. Like, I don't want
They
little
charge for
VR
that?
apps. Yes,
I thought that was like 10 minutes. Like,
it is. And that's the thing. Like, people are making these little micro games, and nobody's committing to a full development. Like, that's the thing. You don't need to commit to a full development. Just pin it into any FPS mode. It's not that hard. I mean, the homebrewers have done it in a matter of a week or two. Alien Isolation was connected to the Rift like shortly after it came out. So, and people are like, oh yeah, this is a great experience. Like, I know people. I have seen videos of people that have hooked their shit up to Skyrim, and they're wearing a headset. They're walking on a treadmill. They've got like motion controls. Like, it can be fucking done. Just do it. Do it. You need a killer app to sell this platform, and you don't have one.
Yeah, but maybe those Scorpio exclusives will do it, right? All right, man, let's move on here. Okay, this isn't an official question. I'm gonna throw it out there because we keep getting this question asked every month now. It's like, do you guys not watch the fucking show? Jesus. So he goes, what anime are you watching now, and what do you think of it so far? We keep getting asked this fucking question.
I haven't gotten asked it on this show.
Yeah.
You know what? For now, we'll say what's anime. We don't know what that is.
I mean, I've been watching all kinds of different animes. I have two new ones to tell.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I'm not making an official question, but if you guys want to chime in, go ahead.
DuckTales.
DuckTales. Anime, motherfucker.
I'm pissed now. Now I'm not answering this shit.
I have two new ones.
We got Crunchyroll, and we went through the whole thing.
I just finished Tokyo Ghoul, the second season of Tokyo Ghoul. It was pretty good. Dark, heavy, a little bit too dark and heavy in places.
Are you watching the censored version?
No.
Oh, that's good.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's a little fucked up. Like, it's one of those, not quite a Black Mirror situation, but you're like, you don't walk away from it being like, that was good. It's kind of got a Death Note vibe to it. You're like, I got a little bit of a skeevy crawly feeling, but that was good. That was good stuff. I like that. Also, and I can't tell people this enough, like, watch the Magi series. It looks a little light and looks a little kiddish, but it is goddamn good, and it is one of my favorite animes at this point. I've decided it's probably ranking in my top 10, like, of all time. And so here's the caveat that I'll give you. All three of them are on Netflix. There's 3 seasons. One of them is a prequel called Sinbad. Sinbad starts off very much in your classic kind of almost Funimation, Naruto, Bleachy kind of style. Like, it's a bit trope, but it's kind of cute and endearing. It doesn't actually get dark and heavy until you actually hit the Magi series. And then by episode 2, they're talking about, what is life, what is, enslavement, death, sacrifice, kind of the idea of losing the will to live and falling to the darkness, and all kinds of really cool thematic ideas. So I recommend watching Sinbad first, because it's pretty cool to see the progression, because the Magi series takes place 15 years after Sinbad. So it's cool to see, a season of something and then flash forward 15 years and see where everybody else has ended up, and like who's a general and how they've changed, who people were a kid that are now grown-ups, and people that were grown-ups are not going to old. And that's always neat to see in the anime, for just a kind of fanfare, like, oh, look, it's that guy. But if you don't want to deal with the cheeky kind of trope anime stuff, just jump right into Magi. Watch 3 episodes, and if it's not for you, then walk away. But it is deceptively deep. It looks, like I said, trope and kind of kiddish on the surface, and the art style is very kind of your classic anime with a lot of kind of chibi stuff in there, and it has its little comedy moments, but there's some good story in there. So if you haven't watched it, it's one that can easily fly under the radar. And if anybody has watched it and enjoyed it, please recommend me something similar.
Which one?
Awesome.
I've been watching Full Metal Alchemist with my girlfriend, because she's never seen the original series. She's only seen the Brotherhood series, and she's read the manga. So I'm sitting with her to watch the original series, and it's kind of fun seeing her like react like, whoa, what? Really? What? Who's that? So it's kind of like a whole new experience.
You're showing her the not Brotherhood version.
Yeah, the original Full Metal Alchemist series. So it's like so she's all all not confused, but it's like, oh, okay, that's different. And obviously she also remembers, because remember they also, some episodes are filler in the original Full Metal Alchemist, and some episodes were direct translations from the comic that were removed from the Brotherhood series to get it to the point where everything changes, drastically changes, which is after Elric meets Greed, and find out that that secret about the Fuhrer Bradley. And then there's a show I'm planning to watch because I really like the first season, but Mushishi, if you've ever seen that show.
The artistic one.
I like that show because it's like it's almost like Japanese X-Files. Like each week the main character is kind of dealing with a new spirit that he has to somehow figure out what it's doing or what it's not doing and stuff like that. So it's really kind of cool. It's a comfortable show. So I would say don't watch it late at night because you might fall asleep.
Wait, you said Mushishi, right?
Yeah, Mushishi.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but everyone's been telling me like that I know that it's boring as hell. But like when you look at the reviews for that, it has some crazy ratings, like really high.
No,
ratings.
it's a really interesting show, but again, it's something you kind of have to really pay attention to because it runs at a slow pace. Go, Chris.
I thought of it as ancient Japanese X-Files.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
like that's how I look at it. If you are a fan of that, or what is it, Twin Peaks? It's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like very weird, but it's all the stories are all these kind of cool Japanese ghost stories, which is different because they have if you ever look at all the Japanese demons and ghosts that they have all these different weird things. Okay, if this person goes in the water at some time of the day, they will be possessed or some other crazy stuff. So it's kind of fun. Obviously being exposed to Western ideas of ghosts and spirits to kind of see what their society kind of came up with for these certain things, which is just cool.
So I'm watching. I think it's a good question because the anime season just started recently.
Yeah, I guess so. Now that you guys are giving these long answers, I'm like, oh, I guess it was a good thing they asked this question. Go ahead, man.
So I'm watching the regulars, the stuff that I watch every week is Dragon Ball Super, man.
Oh yeah,
it's getting good. It's
finally
getting good.
I've been waiting. Sat through the rock paper scissors episode. Finally getting paid for it.
The only issue, I don't know. Are you caught up, Brett?
I haven't watched tonight's yet.
He's talking about Brett's watching the Toonami ones, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah, dude. There's something special and nostalgic about waiting for the new episode of Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball, rather. That I did that shit all through high school, so I don't actually mind. As much as I'd love to binge it, I'll binge other stuff, and so it's kind of nice because Saturday is my Friday, so I get to come home to Samurai Jack and Dragon Ball Super. So
nice.
It's a good night.
Nice. Yeah, the only issue I have with Dragon Ball Super is, man, they fuck up the power levels. You have, I don't want to spoil anything, but you have some characters going up against some other characters, and you're like, this should not even be close, man. But they fuck up with that. But it's the arc they're getting into. They're about to get into a certain tournament, and it's so freaking hype that I can't wait for that. I'm also watching One Piece. One Piece I'm gonna watch for the next 10 years, so you can just insert this answer. Next 10 years. I'm also watching from this season Attack on Titan season 2. Everybody all the manga readers have been saying that they're expecting the story to go down. I'm 3 episodes in. I'm waiting for it. I hope it doesn't get that way because the way Attack on Titan's been going, pretty sick. The story's been really good this season. I've still haven't seen enough action for my taste, but the stories have been really good. We've been learning about different characters that we haven't like learned about in the first season, so that's pretty good. I'm also watching My Hero Academia, which is what everyone says is kind of like the shonen equivalent to One Punch Man, which I recommend watching. And anybody who's a fan of like shonen type anime, like go watch My Hero Academia. It's like one of the best ones. Also, and I've been watching Boruto: The Next Generation, which is the successor to Naruto, since Naruto just ended.
Oh God, I saw that.
Yeah, the ending's really good. Did you like it? Well, at least
no. I saw that there's a new Naruto. I was like, God damn it! You just finished Naruto. Now it's Boruto. What the fuck?
It's almost the same name. They look exactly the same. They kind of have the same quirks, but the animation from that, I saw the first episode and I haven't seen the second episode, and the animation's been really good. So hopefully it stays like that. Hopefully they don't do that many fillers and that many flashbacks, and they make the surrounding.
But I mean, isn't the comic over?
The Naruto one is. Boruto is like something different.
It's a new anime series, so obviously there can't really be any filler because they're kind of making it up as they go along, right?
No, there's a manga for Boruto.
Okay. Is it made by the same guy, or is it just like?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I think it's someone else.
Oh, he gave up the rights to his shit. He's like, yo, I guess I'll let you do this now because I'm done.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I've been watching as far as anime.
Yeah, for me, I'm watching the usual Toonami stuff. I'm very upset they don't have One Piece on anymore. They ended it after the Thriller Bark arc. So I'm like, fuck. So that kind of sucks.
Oh, did you? So you finished it, right?
Oh yeah, I finished that shit,
dude. Dude, Kuma. We've been trying to tell you, man. We've been trying to tell you, man.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. I'm like, damn, this dude is like legit. But now, I guess I have no choice but to go on fucking Kiss Anime to watch this shit because Toonami doesn't have it anymore. So, Dragon Ball Super. Brett, I'm like 2 episodes behind you, I believe. I haven't watched it in a while. The last episode I saw was like pretty much where the Dragon Ball movie ended. Where what's his face Beerus kicks Goku's ass. So I'm at that point. The only one I could really talk about is fucking Gundam Unicorn. I am so glad I didn't listen to fucking Riku on this one. He's like, don't watch that shit.
I told you that show was good, man.
Riku was like, don't watch it unless you watch these 3 seasons of Gundam and the movie, then you watch this. I'm like, I saw the first season of Gundam. I'm good. I'm jumping in. I'm not lost. I understand everything. I know all the characters and shit. I'm like,
the show does a decent job of giving you a history as to what things are you're supposed to know.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So, man, I'm glad I listened to you then. Man, and the animation is crazy. Because the thing is, originally Gundam Unicorn, they only released like 1 episode, an hour episode every 3 or 4 months, right? So this one they chop them up and stuff. But the animation is fucking crazy. Again, main reason I watch anime is because I love the fucking animation. The thing's not letting.
Well, those were OVAs, so those things come online.
Legit. So I'm loving that shit. And what's the other stuff I'm watching? I haven't started Tokyo Ghoul yet. Here's the funny thing, by the way. So there's a Tokyo Ghoul and there's a Tokyo Ghost.
Tokyo Ghost is a comic.
A comic book.
Yeah, I read that.
It's like because I saw my man Charles Singletary was talking about Tokyo Ghost, and I'm like, why is he talking about an anime? What the fuck's going on? Because he's a comic book guy,
No. Tokyo Ghost is drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy. It's an American book.
Yeah, because me and him, and a couple others, the guys from Panel to Panel, we have our own little comic book room and stuff. So they would always bring up Tokyo Ghost, and I'm like, okay, we're talking about anime now. Okay, sure, but apparently there's a difference and stuff. So I got to check that out. And that's pretty much that. Again, I don't really have the time to binge watch anime. So Toonami is where I get my 2 or 3 hours a week, and I'm grateful for it. Hunter.
You know what's
man, the Nen shit. Ever since I introduced that into the show, a whole other level, man.
You know what's been my comfort show, and it's not anime. Ghostbusters.
Oh, the old one, yeah.
Yeah, the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I heard they brought that shit back. Anybody else want to go? Or
Oh, by the way, I have a question for you, Tony.
what's up?
Yo, how many like points like did you give Zorro after that scene, man, from One Piece?
Yeah, Zorro was crazy. Here's the thing, that kind of annoys me about like One Piece. Like these characters take these grievous like injuries and shit, like life-threatening injuries, and then it's like nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but when it happens, it seems like, oh my fucking god, they're dead. That's it. They're done, and then they come back like nothing. So it's a little annoying there. But yeah,
because they power up.
Yeah, yeah, Zorro, yeah, crazy shit. But again, it was blunted by the fact, I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be fine.
And you're barely getting into the good shit.
That's the crazy, and that was 320 episodes in. Ridiculous. All right, anybody else want to go? What anime you watching?
I'm watching Attack on Titan.
Oh man, yo, it's funny because I didn't know that shit was out. I was like, hey, isn't Attack on Titan supposed to start in April? What the fuck is it? And then people were like, Tony, there's 3 episodes out. I'm like, what? Yeah. And then Carlos was like, yo, it's coming on Toonami in 2 weeks. I'm like, I'll wait for that then. Oh man, can't wait.
Yo, Chris, are you caught up?
Yo, Chris. He's gone.
We lost Chris.
He went to go watch Attack on Titan.
Wait, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm caught up, but I've read a little bit of the manga after we're at this point.
Yeah.
With the tower, and the Titan attack on the tower. So something very, very interesting is about to happen. I'm not gonna spoil it.
Shit.
Some stuff is gonna get revealed. People's heads are gonna explode.
That fucking that ape Titan freaks me the fuck out, dude.
Yo, man, I'm gonna slap the shit out of both of you, man. Don't say nothing.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, you guys.
No, I didn't spoil it. It says your heads will explode. So
no, but then Carlos jumped in there. So
I didn't say Ape Titan.
No, Carlos did.
Oh,
that has no context whatsoever.
But now
they know that there's an Ape Titan.
No, it just looks like one. It's not an ape. It doesn't even look. It's not even. It doesn't even look like an ape.
Rationalizing it.
Stop right there.
Rationalizing the spoilers. Digging yourself deeper, man. All right. By the way, hello, Brian. Nice for you to join us. I'll wait for him to stop playing Warframe. How you doing, Brian?
I'm not playing Warframe. I am. Hey guys, what's up? How you guys doing?
When you enter, we should have this song play. Yeah.
I guess to do like the typical Brian thing. I've mainly been watching Dragon Ball Super. I'm on episode like 15, so I'm like nowhere near like caught up. So yeah. And Attack on Titan, I've been like reading like manga. And I think I'm past season 2 in episode wise, and yeah, all I'm going to say is it gets really crazy.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
What gets really crazy?
Attack on Titan.
Oh, okay, yes.
He is crazy.
It's crazy.
There's some awesome anime discussion going on in chat right now. I got distracted.
Sweet, hey man, that's what it's all about. All right, I want to move on here. The Nels Coney, he asked, I'm glad he asked this question because I've been thinking about this for the last 2 weeks and I could finally rant about it. All right, his question is best or favorite Spider-Man artist. Okay, now I want to talk about this, right? So I was thinking about this the other day. Manny, you and I discussed this before, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, when John Romita, let me go back. Steve Ditko, made the classic design of Spider-Man, right? But after John Romita Sr. took over, right, Spider-Man had the exact same look for almost 20 years. No matter what artist came on board, they drew Spider-Man the exact same way, no deviations whatsoever, right? Mm-hmm. Then a guy called Todd McFarlane shows up, and he's like, "Listen, this is that guy." Yeah, he's like, this guy. He's like, he needs to be updated. The webs need basically like in the other ones, like it would just be straight lines. And when it came at you from his perspective, it looked weird. It's like, no, that shit doesn't work. And then he's like, hey, Spider-Man, right? You should have weird poses. So he started doing all this crazy shit. And because of McFarlane, other artists were like, hey, I'm going to do my own little take on Spider-Man. So we've seen different, it's still the core Spider-Man, obviously, but every artist brings their own little take. Whereas before, no matter how crazy the artist would be, they would always draw Spider-Man the exact same way that John.
Yeah, they draw John Romita Sr.'s way.
Yeah, so that's why I say McFarlane is the most important guy, because he let other artists go, hey guys, you could draw Spider-Man the way you want, so, and he's also my personal favorite just because of those crazy ass poses he always put Spider-Man in, and he wasn't afraid to put Spider-Man in fucked up situations, because he also wrote Spider-Man for a little bit when he Spider-Man had his own solo series. Like, it was fucked up shit. So I like. He
was also, he was also integral in also kind of bringing a bit more cartooning to the, to comics, where like everybody was, most artists would draw hyper realistic, with the exception of guys like McFarlane and Arthur Adams, who essentially started to cartoon and take it, essentially say, yeah, we're doing these comics, but we don't need to actually stay in this kind of Greco-Roman sort of style.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my answer, Todd McFarlane. I'm going to be talking about Todd McFarlane for the next question, by the way. But Manny, who's your favorite Spider-Man artist?
I say I would go with Todd McFarlane, but I'd also go with
I thought you were going to say Johnny Jr.
Johnny Jr. Man, that's my number two.
And the honorable mention is John.
Yeah, man, Johnny Jr. Man, when he did his own style, fucking awesome. I can name a shit ton of great Spider-Man artists, but Tom McFarlane and definitely, runner up Johnny Jr.
And then sometimes, and I guess some people might say, what was it, Eric Larson?
Eric Larson, my man, Mark Bagley, from back in the day, everybody talks about him with Ultimate Spider-Man. He was kicking ass when Amazing Spider-Man back in the day. You motherfuckers forgot, Yep. Anyway, Chris, who's your favorite Spider-Man artist?
Mine is Johnny Jr. And my runner-up would be Mark Bagley.
Ooh, yes.
His run on Ultimate Spider-Man is amazing.
Ridiculous. All right.
The thing about Mark Bagley, he's a workman. Like, he
and that motherfucker is consistent, man.
He's consistent. He can get the work out on a timely manner, and he, and it looks good. A lot of artists can't really say that.
Yeah. All right, Brett, go.
Sorry, I'm skipping out here. Everybody's giving really good answers. I'm going to try and give one. I agree with everybody, especially McFarlane. I like Joe Quesada. I always mispronounce his last name.
Yeah, no, Joe Quesada. Did he have a specific run on Spider-Man, or you just like the way he?
No, he just did some variant covers that I'm a huge fan of because his webbing is fucking awesome. And so, like, when I think back in my head to like definitive, like, I don't think he really had much of a run on Spider-Man that I know of, but I really like the few pictures or the variant covers that he's done.
And
general, covers are really what strike me a lot, like, because they're, we read the comics, but the covers are like the images that kind of stick with you, at least with me.
In general, Joe Quesada is kind of a somewhat overlooked artist.
Yeah, he is.
He's always been like an incredibly solid artist. And it's kind of weird how you mentioned all these. My favorite run with him is Daredevil run.
Yes,
with,
fucking amazing.
Kevin Smith, but he's always put out solid work. And I couldn't see anybody better being the kind of chief controller at Marvel. And I'm not saying this because I work there.
Yeah, it's just funny about Joe Quesada because, I like the guys at artists. I don't think he did a good job. He did a good job at Marvel, but then towards the later years, after all those fucking events and shit, I didn't like that. But the Marvel Knight stuff he helped out, that was really good. He helped, with the Ultimate stuff, bring that about. The early 2000s, Joe Quesada did a fantastic job at Marvel, but then they got too much into the events and shit. But yeah, his artistry
I don't know how much of that is his fault and how much of that is Disney's fault.
Remember, this was before Disney. This was
I thought you meant now.
No. The event started with fucking Disassembled, Avengers Disassembled. After this,
that's true. Yeah,
nothing but fucking events.
That's probably one of the reasons why he stands out with me, because I stopped reading Spider-Man probably around the time when I was in high school, so that would have been early 2000s.
Yeah, but the thing is, this guy's still making nasty art. He does the promo posters for the Netflix shows. They all look fucking good.
Right?
That guy's fucking class act, man. All right, Adam, who's your favorite Spider-Man artist?
Just Tom McFarlane.
He's like, this is Spider-Man. Turn out your lights.
This is Todd McFarlane's Turn Up the Lights.
You know, I skipped Carlos and Brian because I know they don't really read comics like that. All right. Next question here, related. Nels Coney always has his comic book questions. I like that. He goes, "Who is the most famous person you've met in the comic books industry, if you have met any?"
Lopez.
Lopez. Got his autograph. I got his comics hanging up on the wall.
No, but like in terms of name recognition, household name, yeah, the biggest guy I ever met was Tom McFarlane.
He's well known, so there is some recognition there.
Manny and I met Tom McFarlane years ago when
years ago. We met him and Michael J. White.
Yeah, but it was brief, right? And then last year, me and Chris, not only did we meet Tom McFarlane, but we talked to him for a good 10 minutes, you know?
Oh yeah, Todd will talk.
Yo, yeah, Chris, he talked our ear off.
Oh, yo, man, you mentioned toys. That was it.
That was it. I didn't have to say anything after that, you know.
Yeah, Todd's a cool dude. And
he was good.
I've had run-ins with him quite here and there, and he's always been a great, like, personable sort of dude. Like, one thing I always thought was kind of cool, like when we saw at one of the comic conventions, he was there, and literally he's like, you think, okay, this is just the guy that makes he's the guy who just signs the checks. He's not going to do anything. No, he's getting in there. He's putting up the stuff too. He's putting down the toys. He's getting up on the ladders saying like, nah, I'm going to put this over here. Like, he doesn't need to do that, but he'll sit there and do it.
Yeah.
Well, his brand is his name, so.
Well, yeah, it is his name, but I mean, the thing is that like at some point, I would think like once you've hit that kind of mark, you don't need to stand there and kind of direct these things. You should, be like, okay, I got people that do it.
Would you do it?
What, me? Hell yeah.
You would be that guy.
I'd get in there too, because I mean, it's as much. I wouldn't feel right just kind of standing there and like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, hey, Brett, we're hearing your breathing, by the way, like really hard.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is that little thing going? Ring. By the way, I'm just saying, McFarlane's the most famous because he's household, but I've met a ton of guys,
I have to say I guess the biggest now would be Robert Kirkman, but he was my boss, so.
Yeah, so I
guess it was kind of. But yeah, again, another really, again, not saying just because he was my boss on Tech Jacket, but really, really personable guy, like hilarious, funny dude, and I could definitely see why he's, why he's where he is, and he still doesn't seem like he's kind of forgotten what he was,
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. All right. Anybody else who was the most famous comic book person, industry, whatever you ever met?
I met Alex Ross.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, we did meet him too.
Yeah. Then we all went to that book signing, right? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. It was was it Green Lantern? Or what did he do? We got
it was one of those big books that he did.
Those big anthology books and mythology. I think they call
mythology.
It.
That's right. That's right. That was
it. Was for that one.
That shit was crazy.
Again, another really nice dude.
Yeah, most of the guys that I met, like I tend to like indie comics quite a bit. I met Rob Guillory. I think that's how you pronounce his name. The artist for Chew. And
that's a good book.
I met Ben Templesmith, which he did the original 30 Days of Night, which I'm assuming that'd probably be my answer because that got made to a movie that everybody knows.
There you go.
Well, Ben Templesmith has been around forever. Like even before 30 Days of Night.
Oh yeah, that's just the thing. Like when we're talking about most famous, like that's going to be what.
I guess the question is, who's the most famous one? Because I could have geeked out about a bunch of other shit. Like to me, the one I felt was the coolest one I ever met was fucking Chris Claremont. This motherfucker pretty much made the X-Men what it is today. That was crazy. And Johnny Jr. met him, cool motherfucker, bunch of cool. Wait, I got a quick story for you guys. Hilarious story. Manny was there too, right? Okay, we were talking to this one guy, right? Manny was telling about asking him hey man, how's your new book coming? And he was talking about it. And me and him, I don't know who this fucking guy is. We're just trading fucking jokes, right? This guy was mad cool. And Manny, at the end of it, when he leaves, like, oh yeah, so it was pretty cool meeting Dave Mazzucchelli. I'm like, that was David Mazzucchelli. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, that was.
I would have acted. If you guys don't know, he drew Batman Year One. If I would have known that was him, I would have acted completely differently than I did when I just talked to him as he was just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting how that works.
Yeah, Dave Mazzucchelli was my storytelling teacher at when I was in college. So I mean, he had been talking about, at the time when we met him, he'd been talking about, he's already made that book long time ago, but he'd been talking about it in class. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm thinking of getting back into doing I want to do a graphic novel again. I'm feeling the urge to do it again, because the one thing about him is that he did two of the most iconic Marvel and DC books one could ever do.
Yeah, he did that. For people who don't know, Batman Year One and Daredevil Born Again.
Daredevil Born Again. And then at that point in time, and they still do it to this day, but they have you get residuals for every single one of those things. Now think about it. You're getting, you get residuals off of those things. You could literally live off of that stuff. So eventually, after that point, like after he did his runs and whatever like that, he just kind of started doing his own independent things. He didn't need to worry about the money anymore.
Fucking amazing.
So let me ask you guys an addendum to this question. Like, who would you like to meet that you haven't?
Oh, I like this question.
I got one. Jason Aaron, creator of Southern Bastards.
Jason Aaron's a great fucking writer, man.
I've met Jason Aaron many times. Really great guy.
Yeah, I like his books.
I go to, he's just never there, but yet
no, he's a cool dude. If I see him this year, I'll see if I can get something signed.
Nice.
I'll pick up something for you.
That would be great.
Me and Kari usually at C2E2, we usually hang out with him and a couple other guys. So, yeah.
Even though I've heard this guy's an asshole, just so I could say I met him, fucking John Byrne, man. I love that guy's work again. Yeah, man. Like,
I didn't know that was his rep.
yeah, he's the guy's like apparently really fucking hard to work with it and stuff. Like, I know even on his blog, like, you can't use code names. You have to use your real name. He doesn't like that shit. He's like a crotchety old man, but I'm like, yo, you were there like when X-Men was the shit. You helped, you recreated Superman, all that shit. Like the modern Superman, he came up with that. All that. I'm like, yo, yeah, John Byrne would be like the ultimate for me, man. The funny thing is I had to struggle for that because I've actually met most of the guys I really like at these conventions. And it's not like, oh, I did it because I was pressed. I mostly did it when I was still just a regular fan attending these things. A lot of these artists, some of them aren't like Neil Adams, but a lot of these guys are very open. They're really cool. I met Brian Hitch, right? Just because he was just sitting down. I just came up to him and he was working on Fantastic Four at the time, and I was just telling him how much I love his art. I would love to pick his brain now because he writes. The guy is just as good a writer as he is an artist.
Here's a better one, though. Here's a better question. Then, who's been a dick to you?
To me personally?
Yeah, to you. Like you said, like you mentioned some guy you just named drop.
Neil
Adams.
Yeah, Neil.
No, Neil Adams wasn't a dick to him directly.
No.
He saw him being a dick to me.
Yeah, we were both there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I know somebody did give me the brush off, but I forgot who the fuck it was. Oh, probably somebody insignificant anyway, All the big older guys are cool. Like I met Peter David for a little bit. He was cool. Fucking Walt Simonson, obviously Manny's teacher. Cool dude. Great run on Thor. He pretty much reinvented Thor for the modern age. Jim Steranko, crazy motherfucker, man.
Jim Steranko's a class act. He's a
I like him.
He's like he's in his suit having a scotch in the
movie. Yeah, right.
Yeah. He's like if you took what's his face Kid Notorious. What was that guy's name? Robert Evans. He's
Evans.
like Robert Evans if he was a comic guy.
Yeah, but yeah, and Jim Lee, he's another big guy, man, super cool dude, But yeah, John Byrne would be the number one for me. I would go fucking crazy.
Who was the guy that remember when Levi's would do all these
Rob Liefeld? Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
I haven't.
Listen. I mean, I haven't met him, but I mean, met him for.
I'd like to meet him, sure, but
I think for him, I think he's very nice to the fans. I haven't heard any dick thing from your body.
Oh, that wasn't that the backstory of it was that he was just a fan and that he would send Marvel his artwork, and they said, yeah, you know what, you can do this, and they gave him a job, and now he wears Levi's.
Yeah,
It was so weird.
He created X-Force, you know.
He created Spike-Man. Wonder what happened to that drawing.
Right. All right, man. Anybody else want to chime in on this real quick?
Jamie Hewitt.
Ooh, that's
I would like that. I would like to meet him.
Yeah.
That guy seems a bit of like a recluse, but maybe I'm wrong.
Did you guys ever meet Frank Miller?
Yes,
I've met
met
Frank
him.
Miller.
Yep, he's a cool guy. I got a crazy story to go along with that. I think I told it before. You know, I'm not going to tell it now, but yeah, I met Frank Miller. Cool dude. He looked in bad shape. I'm being honest, man.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
He gave me a free comic books. I was happy about that. You know,
I met him for Dark Knight 2. I think Chris, you were one with line.
Yeah, we went
too.
to get it signed. Yeah,
we went to see Frank Miller. That's before he started looking like a mummy.
he looked like Freddy Krueger when I met him, man.
This was the drugs.
I think it
know.
was.
I think
it
he
was
a medical condition.
He is a
he
medical.
might have a medical condition. They're just being very, very. You know, he is being very, mysterious about what happened. But yeah, I met him like 3 times. Like once was on that signing. Another time was weird. It was like outside of my job. Like he was walking, like, because I was working late, and he's literally just walking by. I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And he's like,
he said, "I got mace. I got mace."
You know,
because I think his studio is around 23rd and stuff. Plus, also 23rd Street has a lot of bars and shit, so he may have been drinking.
All right. And the last question here from Mr. Danels Coney. He goes, do you guys have a problem with these Marvel movies and shows not following the comics? I struggle with this and tend to be overcritical in watching these. He goes, for example, Civil War movie versus Civil War comics. Here's my thing. I don't care if you change them. You can't do it one for one. That's fucking impossible. You know, like
Ghost in the Shell did it.
It wasn't
Not
one for
really.
one.
Damn close. Damn close.
It was, but here's the thing. And this is why I like Ghost in the Shell. They still stay true to the characters, right? As long as you stay true to the characters or whatever the heart of that specific story was, you're going to be okay. When you start changing the characters around, i.e. making Batman the fucking Punisher, that's when you get a problem. But as long as the characters remain the same, you know, because you have to change the story around. You can't do it one for one. So I don't mind that. And I'll say this. I think I said it before. I'll say it again. I like Civil War, the movie, more than I do the comics. I didn't like the comic book. I liked the movie because I think it flowed better. The comic book, like it changed the character so abruptly. It was like,
should I watch that again? Because I keep falling asleep. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, no, the movie's fucking
it's on
dope.
Netflix right now.
The movie is fucking legit.
I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, the movie's fucking legit.
I'm gonna say
Oh, you don't like it?
See now
it's my least favorite of the Marvel movies.
Wow, really? Civil War was fucking great. Oh well, I guess we hit on that.
Including
no, I'll take that. I'll take that back. I just don't like the Captain America movies. I think that's what it is.
Even in Winter Soldier?
Oh man, Soldier.
Oh, Brett, we can't talk right now, man. Winter Soldier was the best.
That was pretty good. That one was the last one that I really liked.
Yeah,
I thought it was Civil War, but Winter Soldier is fucking great.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is like the best Marvel movie, man.
It's the best standalone Marvel movie because Civil War technically is an Avengers 2.0, you know, like. But yeah, Winter Soldier is, man.
I liked. Actually, no. I was. I don't know what I was thinking. No, Civil War was good. It's Winter Soldier that I, didn't. Civil War was okay. It was good. I liked the comic though. So, and I'm kind of the same way. Like, if you're gonna change a bunch of shit, just call it a different fucking name. Like, you know what you're doing. You're calling it Civil War, and you're having it be kind of the same, but kind of fucking different. Like, here's an idea: have a name that's, what was Civil War, blah blah blah. Like, have a title that alludes to or is even directly connected to the original comics, but don't call it the same fucking thing if it's not gonna be the same fucking thing. It's the same problem I have with, like, Senor Austrian Crab Face. Like, that's not Bane. I don't have a problem with him. Come up with a cool name for him. Just don't fucking call him Bane, because he's not Bane. And that's my problem with a lot of this. Is like, you have the rights to the characters. Why do you have to call the movie something that makes it sound like it's going to be something that it's not. It's the same beef a lot of you guys have with the Switch calling itself a console. Like, this is not Civil War. Don't call it Civil War. Just call it something else, whatever it is. And then I think I'll be fine with it. Just I think the part about that that beefs me is they're doing it on purpose. They're doing it like, oh, this is Civil War. So the motherfuckers like me will be like, oh, cool, it's Civil War. And like I'm gracious enough to like I could talk to people and I know people in the industry, but like there are some people like, man, I love those series of comics, and they're gonna go and watch the movie and be like, this is not what the fuck they just promised me in the movies, or in the movie posters, or it's. I thought this was going to be a little bit. You can't
go in there expecting Wolverine to show up, dude.
No, you can't, and I understand that there's limitations, but at the same time, I'm not the one who put those limitations on. That was bullshit that Marvel did in the 90s, where they fucking split up their empire, and we as fans are paying for it now. And just because we find ourselves in this position does not mean I find it fucking excusable. Like, you shouldn't have sold, and I realize that you had to, but it's bullshit that you had to sell your rights off to three or four separate fucking entities.
They had no choice, man.
I understand, and I get that. But fucking Disney has the bankroll to get them to at least work together. Or at least everybody needs to be looking at what Disney's doing with the Marvel shit and just be like, you know what? I'm going to bow down to you and you're going to print me money because you're doing shit right. Like, we need to take away the fences because we're not getting the same story. And see, that's the problem. You can't give me Civil War, so don't call it Civil War. And I realize why you can't. I'm not happy about that either. But if you can't give it to me, like, don't give me a corn dog that doesn't have a hot dog in the middle of it. If it's a corn dog filled with fucking cauliflower, it's not a goddamn corn dog.
But here's the thing, though. It's still the same basic story, right? Like, superheroes cause this mass destruction. The government wants to rein them and stuff. One side says, hey, that's great. The government wants to keep us in control. One side says, no, we should be free to do what we want. And they fight each other. It's still the same basic story.
So because it keeps the same thematic elements that could be interpreted and reinterpreted time and time again, like, it should be called the same thing?
Why not? And here's the thing. I'm not saying
because because it doesn't work that way with books. Yeah. Like, every time Robert Jordan wrote a Conan novel, it's not Conan the Barbarian. It's Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, it's a different thing, though, man. Like, you got to understand something. It's like, okay, one they're close enough. It is a Civil War, so you can't really deny that. And two, like you said, you got to get those asses in the seats. So you call it something that's familiar. You get people in there. And
I mean, but that's the one you should really be. The one that you should really be angry at is Age of Ultron, because that's nothing like.
No. Trust
that wasn't even a good movie.
Hey, we're about to see that in the gaming world. Prey. Prey has nothing to do with the original Prey.
Yeah, and Logan has nothing to do with Old Man Logan.
But the thing is that for Logan, they that goes with what Brett says, where essentially the name was strategically changed.
Yeah, but yeah, Age of Ultron, that's a valid one. Like, hey, what if you liked Age of Ultron, right? The comic book. You see that movie, it's like, what? There's nothing. They're Ultron.
Yeah, like Age of Ultron was a crazy space story.
Can I ask Brett a question? Brett, do you feel the same way about Game of Thrones?
I have intentionally not read the books on Game of Thrones.
So would your logic still apply, though? Because we know that it did deviate from the story a little bit.
I mean, right now it's completely different.
If I had read the books first, I would be pissed, which is why I made sure to not read the books first. Because that deviation would upset me. But at the same time, like, a lot of that stories, and maybe I'm talking shit unwarranted here, but a lot of that story's success, I think, came from having a very successful team put together. Like, while I'm sure that the books are fantastic, do I think Railroad can hold a candle to, like, Robert Jordan, who's, in my opinion, the greatest contemporary author of my lifetime? No. Fuck no, he can't. There's no way in hell. I mean, his stories are convoluted. There's plot holes in them. There's characters that pop in and pop out. Like, it just doesn't have the same quality, expertise, and authority.
Well, that's just a matter of opinion. Because I'm pretty sure some other guy would be like, no, Robert Jordan.
Yeah, no. Robert Jordan tells great stories, but there are more talented authors out there, objectively so. I mean, you could even, you can. his style of writing is, and he even admits this, is organic. He does not know where his stories are going to end up a lot of times. And that means the byproduct of that is like just little things that just little storylines that just kind of wither and die. Little side things like, like what the fuck is the point of the wolves? What is the point of the wolves other than to fucking kill them off? It was an idea, an impression, like almost a painting inspiration that he had, and then it was a cool idea, like, yeah, every kid gets a direwolf, but he didn't have a plan. He didn't have this grand orchestrated plan in mind for when he introduced those things. So if you compare him to an author that has a grand orchestrated plan in mind when they introduce every single character and they know where this is going to begin, middle, and end, like, I would say that takes more talent. Same goes for art. Like, you need to have a good command of art that, like, Manny, when you start a page, you know where you want that page to end, right? Like, you don't like figure it out in the middle most of the time.
Sometimes I do. It depends on it depends on two different factors. The story, like drawing a page, I will plan everything out. Plan everything out. I kind of know I have the framework. But one thing I do like to do, and I'm not sure if a lot of artists like to do this, is I like to kind of thumbnail my whole book before I even start anything. Sorry.
Oh no, that's my favorite way. I like thumbnailing everything so I know where everything's going to go, and I know
But sometimes when the deadlines are coming and everybody's like, "Get this! I need this shit now! I need it now!" Then I'm like, "Okay, we're doing this live," and I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, so don't take this as me talking shit on Railroad. Like, I love his stories, and I love that he was the one to break the mold of killing off characters that you like and doing so in a way that doesn't drive you away from the show. But yeah, I would absolutely probably dislike the show or be angry at the show for deviating from the source material, which is why I say the books are always better. I mean, and that I'm not the one that coined that saying, but yeah, the books are always better, man.
All right. Anybody else have a problem? Comic books change shit. I mean, when movies change comic book shit. Anybody else have a problem with it?
I think the quality of of movies changing shit in comics has gotten way better than it has been since the previous batch of films.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm talking Spawn. I'm talking like
hell yeah.
I'm talking a lot of those films. Where they're just like, okay, this is just a character. We're gonna somewhat take whatever here and then just change everything else around because we can.
But that's fine. Keep the name. Don't keep the name of the story arc specifically out of it, or make an allusion to the story arc that you're going towards. Like, it doesn't have to be, call it a Civil War. Like, I don't even care. Just make some kind of fucking distinction so that. And again, I'm not an idiot. I wasn't walking in being like, this is going to be Civil War. But it did piss me off a little bit just at a time to know the fact that, like, and they still motherfucking use the name. It's like when you like a band and everybody but one person in that band is replaced, but they still keep the same name. Like, dude,
Smashing
you're just
Pumpkins, Guns N' Roses,
Dokken. There's a lot of them, but yeah, again, my personal thing is, like, as long as you keep whatever the core of that story was, and especially if you keep the core of the characters.
Yeah, I feel like
at the end of it, you got to make a good movie. You can't just make a good adaptation.
I feel like
Watchmen. Watchmen was almost 1-to-1, and it was kind of a mess.
No, it doesn't need to be 1-to-1.
I feel like for the case of the Watchmen, as well as it was done, at the same time, I feel like it was too. You lost a lot of the. I definitely think Watchmen would have been a better series than movie.
Yes. Easily.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Easily.
Well, and here's the thing: you don't need to do a 1-for-1. You just need to touch on the key points of the story, and not. And here's the big thing: not change canonical, whatever stuff. Don't don't change canon.
But what if that canon doesn't fit with whatever canon they've already established? The Superhuman Registration Act in the Marvel comic books wouldn't work for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they basically go, hey, everybody reveal your identity. Everybody knows every hero's identity in the Marvel Universe, except for Spider-Man and Daredevil, basically. So that's
the kind of thing I understand. But like going back again to the Bane thing, like you changed Bane so drastically, it's not the same character anymore. Just call him something.
I agree with you on that one. It's like, that's not Bane. I'm totally with you on that one.
But then that's like the thing that Tony's been saying. It's like it's like, in other words, they changed Bane into something totally different from what he was originally, as opposed to like some other characters. What is it? Who's that? Like Captain America. He's still pretty much Captain America. All of them, with the exception of Iron Man, who's officially not anything like the original comic Iron Man.
It's funny because he acts like a slightly less dickish version of the ultimate version of Iron Man. That's who he kind of acts like. So he's still kind of based in comics, but even then, even if you don't read Ultimates, he's still Tony Stark enough at the end. You know what I mean? Even though now they changed him to be Robert Downey Jr. in the fucking comics.
No, I mean, the thing is, I feel, again, I've said this before, Robert Downey Jr. Created the personality for Tony Stark, who essentially kind of didn't have one.
Yeah, he was just a drunk. That's his most defining feature,
And sometimes it's good. Like I find myself torn. Like Nick Fury is one of those big things. Like I love Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury, but I also liked the old Nick Fury, the fucking salt and pepper badass, cigar smoking commando that would like crawl through the jungle in a ghillie suit and fucking cut your throat. Like he was James Bond that wasn't a pussy. So when they replaced him with Samuel L. Jackson, I was like, why can't you just have Samuel L. Jackson be his own character that takes Nick Fury's job instead of
he's based off the Ultimate version, so that is Nick Fury.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But then because of that, you got rid of the old Nick Fury. Like, why can't there be both? Why do you have to?
Here's the thing, Brett. For the movies, you can't really ask that. For the comics, you should ask that. It's like, why did you get rid of the old Nick Fury, you motherfuckers? Like they were. I think I explained to you. They replaced Nick Fury in the regular Marvel universe in the most ham-fisted way possible. Basically, you find out that Nick Fury had a son, right, with a black woman, right, and then he was Nick Fury Jr. But then Nick Fury died, so they decided, hey, you're Nick Fury now. You take over Shield. Like, that's fucking retarded. So ham-fisted, It's stupid, but at least the one that you see in the movies, he was based off the Ultimate version, so he didn't replace anybody. That's just Nick Fury. But for the comics, I totally agree with him. Like, why did you get rid of the old school Nick Fury, man? It's stupid, Yeah,
anyway, I have no problem with him in the movie, and I got no problem. Yeah, but yeah, it's more than like you close yourself off to not being able to have that other guy anymore. Like, man, like why even in the Ultimates did you have to call him Nick Fury if he was such a drastically different character?
But he wasn't. He was. I mean, actually, again, remember what the whole Ultimates was about? It was just supposed to be about, like a remake of like, hey, if Marvel, just brought into existence now, what would it look like? So that was the whole impetus behind that.
No, there's a difference. Old school flat top Nick Fury was a fucking commando. He would murder people, right? New Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury is an authoritative leader. Even he plays the same character no matter whether he's in a comic book or a movie or anything like that. It's the same character he was in Kong. Like, he's fucking scary, and you don't want him to fly off the handle, but he generally like intimidates and leads a team. Like, you don't see him, like, you don't see the old Pulp Fiction Nick Fury rear his head.
Well, because again, it's a updated Nick Fury. So are you upset with Hawkeye? Because Hawkeye was never.
Oh God!
Hawkeye was okay. Just for you guys to know, Hawkeye was originally a criminal, right? A supervillain criminal, whatever. He got reformed. He joined the Avengers. Now, in the Ultimate comics, he was a Shield agent, like he was basically like a assassin, right? And that got brought over into the movies. So the guy in the movies is not anything like the original Hawkeye. So are you upset with that too?
Dude, okay, that is.
I'm gonna take that as a yes.
Hawkeye was one of my favorite comic characters when I was a kid, and the things that they have done to him are second only to sewing fucking Deadpool's mouth shut.
Oh,
like that list of comic fucking sins, like 1 and 2, like what the fuck did you do to Hawkeye? He used to fucking acrobat through there like Spider-Man, having, he was a badass with fucking a bow and arrow and gadgets and shit like that, and you just distilled that into bow and arrow gadgets. Like, no, he fucking flew through there like fucking Spider-Man. He had like amazing aim. He could see for a mile. Hawkeye.
All right, I guess
it's because it's Eagles that can see for that distance, but comic writers didn't do that kind of research, so they named him fucking Hawkeye. But he could see shit from like a mile away. His senses were so good that in Old Man Logan, he could still fuck shit up blind.
Yep.
That is not the character in the movies. I don't know who that motherfucker is, but just because he has a bow and arrow does not make him Hawkeye. The same way that whoever the fuck is on CW, that's not Green Arrow.
Yay.
And the only reason that's acceptable is because you dropped the green and just called him Arrow. Okay, fine.
Oh man. All right, let's move on here. G Megaforce 123. He just starts off with hashtag Team Chris. Sorry, Brett.
Oh no.
Oh man. Cool. All right. Okay. So he goes, does the Switch success prove the Scorpio is going to be a failure? No doubt the Switch was carried by a killer app in Zelda. The PS4 Slim is reportedly outselling the Pro, so not a lot of people really care about 4K, it seems. The Xbox One has been in sleep mode since the beginning of 2017. How is the Scorpio supposed to sell with no killer app? Its power is irrelevant since a console with a piece of shit hardware like Switch is selling very well at the moment. True 4K is nice and all, but ultimately meaningless if you have no games or marketing deals to drive sales. All right, no, I don't think the Switch is going to affect Scorpio sales, man. There's two different audiences buying those, man.
Yeah.
So no, it's not going to affect it at all.
That's the whole point.
His question is,
Nintendo just have the same old Nintendo kids. They don't care.
Go ahead, Brian.
His question is, do you think that the fact that the Switch is doing well, do you think that proves that the Scorpio will not do well because people don't seem to give a damn about powerful consoles? That's his question.
Nintendo fans don't care about powerful consoles. You know, the
I would
Xbox
even
guys
disagree
do.
with that. Look, you have several niches. On one end of the spectrum, you have power, and that's your PC end, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you have accessibility and mobility, and that's the Nintendo end of the spectrum, right? It's really hard to take your PC around, a gaming PC around with you. Even back in the days of fucking LAN parties, that shit was a chore.
The thing is, at least if you have something strong enough to support the titles you want, you're settling on the Switch. You know you're not going to get the big titles that you want. You're just going to get, like you said, like just a niche.
No, I'm not settling on a Switch.
Well, you are. You're not going to get the big titles. You're not going to get the new ones that come out.
It's impossible.
But that's what I'm saying. You know it.
I would also love a house that is, one story and 1,000 square feet on the inside, but I don't have a dimensional gateway, and that's fucking impossible. Like, you're not going to get something smaller, more portable, and more powerful than the Switch. Like,
you get the Shield.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're just you realize what just happened there, right, Brett?
I just got trolled.
Yeah, you did.
I am a gullible motherfucker. But yeah, so I think the more fair question would be, is Scorpio in a niche far enough away from its competitors to still be market relevant? In the sense that, like, you have other consoles on the market just on the less powerful and cheaper side of it, and then you have PC just on the more expensive but more powerful side of it. Is there enough middle room in there for the Scorpio to be a success? I think that would be the more relevant question. Nintendo Switch has nothing to do with it. Is a completely separate group of audience. In fact, I find most of the people that like the Switch are people that already have a PC, because they're like, if I'm care about graphics, I'm going to game on my powerful ass PC. If I want to play games with friends or take it somewhere, then I have my Switch, and then I have all my bases covered. They go with the the far ends of the spectrum. It's cool, like, if you want to drag your Xbox around everywhere with you, but I don't personally recommend it. I wouldn't take my PlayStation around with me. I mean, fuck, just that thing bumping around in the car eventually is going to jar something loose. I've had consoles die from less. I just had a fucking laptop die because it wasn't packed correctly enough in a backpack as I was driving down a mountain in Colorado. It bumped around enough that now it's just permanently retarded. I don't know why. So I don't think that there's a crossover between Switch audiences and Scorpio audiences, I guess, is the long-winded version of what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's basically what I said at the beginning. It's like, nope.
Yeah,
two different audiences, man.
I agree, but I had to explain why.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I do. I mean, the only thing, again, it's really just again what they've said and what even Sony has said, that they're kind of more powerful versions of their consoles are just the kind of enthusiast version of their console, where it has a better run, and all that other goods. It can run 4K, but again, we're talking about people who don't. If you don't have a 4K television, there's that one, and then there's the other side of it. It's like, okay, if you want to take the benefits of the 1080p version, like a downscaled 4K 1080p version or something like that, or the better running. But again, most people who don't somebody who's into, most regular people don't really care about that. As long as it has the games that they want, that's the main thing that they care about.
Yeah.
And as long as it looks passable on the television that they have in their living room.
I mean, does anybody know anybody who just owns a Switch? Like, I feel like the whole, like, it's obvious people don't care about power. Like, I feel like that is a fundamentally flawed thought, because no, people care about power. That's why I have a PlayStation. That's why I have a PC. Like, I don't know anybody that owns just a Switch. Like, they can't game on their computer. They don't own a console. They have just a fucking Switch. And if they do, I imagine they're also the same kind of people that I met rarely in the wild who don't own a console, but they have every fucking Game Boy game. I've met a couple of those people throughout my life, and I always thought that was really weird. But I don't think that the Switch is meant to replace your powerhouse. So I don't think that saying just because it's successful means that the market is showing a tendency not to care about power. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Anybody else want to jump in on this?
Like by the way, we still don't know if the Switch is a success or not. That's a successful launch, but we still don't know.
Yeah, overall, because
that shit's still up in the air.
Yeah, it is. Because these guys, the Nintendo fanboys specifically, are already having a victory parade. It's like, that's it. This is a successful console. There's gonna, no, guys, it's only been 1 month.
And I feel like I need to say this. Just because it's had a good launch doesn't mean that it's in the free and clear. For all you think I drank the Kool-Aid, all I was saying that was just because it has had a successful launch doesn't mean you can look at the numbers and see that it's doomed for failure. It is not out of the woods yet. I don't think Nintendo is going to fold as a company this round because they're relying on their handheld market. They continue to abuse their customer base and pull shitty business practices. This could be their last console. Yeah, but I don't think it's going to wither away and die right away either. So
yeah. All right. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Scorpio, Switch.
My main thing is I don't think there's an audience for like these iterative consoles with the amount of power that they have. I just don't think not enough people give a damn. That's why they're not doing so well.
It's all a test run. Yeah, I think it's all a test run. Just to see, test the market, say, hey, do they want this? Is this going to work?
We actually have a question about iterative consoles, so we can save that a little bit later.
But if you think about it, and I was thinking about it from when we talked about Thursday, I was like, you know what? Nintendo tried this with that new 3DS. That was an iterative. That was just like, here's a little something. What do you think? And we know that didn't sell, so...
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, save that because I think we have a good discussion there. All right. His next question is popular and praised characters you dislike. Okay, so what game characters that are either popular or well praised that you can't stand to like? He goes, for me, it's Kreia from Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. All right, so what praised character do you hate?
For me, it used to be Lara Croft.
Yeah, but now you're okay with her, right?
I'm okay with her. I like the new game. Let's see, praised characters.
Well, like characters, not games, right?
No,
Because
characters, specific characters. Yeah.
because I love the God of War games, but I fucking hate Kratos.
That's what I was gonna say. Kratos.
Kratos
That's
is
the one. That's
not
the one.
even a
That's the one.
character.
Yeah, that's the one. Toro always says too. To me, Kratos is the fucking shit. You know, he's like the classic Greek character. You know,
for the first one and the second one and the third and all the other.
I had a problem with Kratos in the second one. For
sure,
yeah,
the second game he just became Angry Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he in the first one he had like a cause. It was the usual Greek kind of tragedy, you know. But yeah, definitely in the other one he kind of became like a caricature. He became like a caricature of himself.
Yeah, that's why God of War 2 is my least favorite God of War game. You know,
yeah, like, that was the one too. It was like,
well, he became unhinged, and at that point, like, and he just stayed unhinged. Like, it's just like, yeah, this tragedy broke him. Like, I don't know. I felt like God of War 1 should have ended on a tragic note. Like, I almost feel like it should have been like a Cowboy Bebop kind of thing, and Kratos should have died at the end, because it's one of those, like, you become so monstrous that you can't exist anymore. But for some reason, they went the opposite direction and went like, you know what? You become so monstrous, we're going to make you immortal. And like, that's a bad idea. He's clearly unhinged, and he's a raging psychopath with no moral values and little to no foresight of his actions. Like, you just made an immortal killing machine.
So, Brad, basically, you know how he was plunging to his own death? Like, he should have just died right there, right? Because the beginning of the game is literally him committing suicide.
Yeah, no, it should have followed that. Like, and that's not even like an original idea that, like, to destroy a monster you have to, you know, tread into the darkness yourself. But then once you do, you're no longer welcome back into the light. Like, you're sacrificing yourself for a world that you can't live in anymore. Like, but that's a good solid theme.
To be honest, I think the tragedy with Kratos should have been, well, if he does become the God of War, but he essentially realized that he becomes the monster that he once fought against.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
fine.
just
Some
like
conflict.
just he essentially became like Ares.
Yeah, well, he kind of did though in the second one. He was just angry the whole time, you know.
Ares.
Ares at least had like plans and fucking with people. Like, Kratos is just super powered. I'm gonna stab you in the neck.
Yep.
Which, don't get me wrong, super fun. But as a character, you're like,
I'm still trying to think of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any characters that I like overtly hate.
Oh, actually, you know what? Fucking Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. That guy's an asshole.
Oh, that was gonna be my answer.
Oh, that's a good one.
Fucking asshole.
Squall, man.
It's like, hey, Squall, we're having all these problems. I don't care.
Hey,
That's
remember,
That's what he would do. Whatever.
Remember we had a question if we finished games. That was a game I had to trudge through because A, I hated the salary system. B, I hated Squall. It's like the guy I'm playing, I fucking hate him. I like the Laguna better than him, man. And you only get to play him
play
like
Laguna game.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a game I had to trudge
through. You know what? I'm gonna jump on that one too. Fuck Squall, man.
I don't care. Whatever.
Everybody seems to love him for some reason. Oh, he has the gun blade, man.
Who cares? Anyone could have the gun blade.
Yeah.
Just give it to someone who's not a dick.
Who's not a pussy, I guess. Fucking, he's almost like the Shinji of fucking video games, man. Can't stand that guy.
Except he wasn't a wuss. He would fight, but the thing is,
he would fight, but he's
for the most part, he's just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Was that a Neon Genesis reference?
Yes.
Yes.
I would have also accepted Shinji's dad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man.
Well, Evangelion is the world of assholes. It's like the fate of our
everybody's so detestable on that show.
The fate of our world is left to a bunch of assholes. Kind of like real life, though.
Yeah, basically.
Well, the only one that wasn't an asshole was Ray, but that's because she didn't have any emotions.
Yeah.
She was a post.
Yeah. All right. And who didn't go yet?
I'm trying to think of characters, but I can't think of any, honestly.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
Was there an Age of Ultron game where you can say Ultron?
No. Well, there was like the Lego one, but that's a whole different thing. Unfortunately, there wasn't a Batman v Superman game because
yes,
that would have been tragic. I'm generally trying to think, and I can't think of anything. Like, as much as I disliked The Last of Us, like I enjoyed Joel and Ellie and what's the woman called?
Oh, I forgot her name.
Oh,
Tess. That's the one.
Oh, Rachel
like
hated
that.
her.
I thought she was
Rachel
pretty
hated
cool.
Tess.
But no, I just can't think of any video game characters that I hated. Honestly, it's like they've all been like okay or. Oh
I
wait.
fucking hated Miranda
Wait.
from Mass Effect.
Oh, I was just about to pull up Mass Effect.
Oh,
I
damn.
hate Gil from Mass Effect. That dude just annoys the crap out
Oh,
of me.
Gil, right from
I
you.
don't know
Yeah,
why. I have no idea why, but he just like he's like the only guy of my crew that I just don't like. I'm like, Gil, just fuck off. Like you're a cool guy. Got a cool job, but just fuck off.
I never liked Caden.
Caden's a little pussy, you know.
I
don't like
never
him.
liked Caden.
But
Well,
I,
I
don't
didn't-
know,
I
like
didn't-
Why did he come back?
I didn't have Caden in my game because I sent them off with that bomb.
That's right. Like, you take care of that
See,
motherfucker.
you did him a favor by getting.
I didn't know anything about that when I played that first game. I'm
Oh.
like, yo, man up and handle that bomb, man. We'll get you out of here. Oh, shit.
It was the one where you can send him or the chick, right? I forgot.
Oh,
her name.
Ashley. Yeah.
Ashley.
yeah. And
Actually,
I sent Kaden. I was like, dude, you got this, bro. I'm not sending this bitch. She is. She does not seem like she knows what she's doing. So I sent Kaden in. Fucking, I was like, oh great, now I'm fucking stuck with Ashley for the rest of the goddamn game.
Well, I sent Caden
Come on,
because
Plan B.
I said, yeah, it's either him or I'm gonna send my waifu there. So I'm like,
Yeah, you don't want that.
She needed to pull the stick out of her ass.
Or maybe she needed a stick in her ass, if you know what I mean.
Oh, damn.
oh hey, oh.
That's misogynistic.
Yeah. Hey, man, she had a booty on her, man. Come on.
I mean, like popular characters. I'm also thinking he's talking
Well,
about.
that's
too.
why I said Miranda, because everybody has walks around with a hard on for Miranda.
Yeah, because she got that ass, son.
Because she's such a cunt.
I like Miranda's design, but yeah, I can agree with Brett at that point where she's just like she's
Oh, I'm
always
so perfect.
she's always cold and she's
Bitch
having
turn around.
she's having a conundrum fit on the fact that she's not perfect, like because she was like created and then she realized that she has flaws, so she's essentially Dr. Bashir, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
a good analogy. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I didn't care for. I liked her design, but I didn't care for her. I was always with Liara. I thought
Don't get me
she
wrong,
was-
Jax was a bitch, but I'd much rather hang out with her than Miranda.
I sided with Jack in that sort of situation.
Hey, Brian, you know what meme I have going through my head now? We're talking about Miranda, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, man.
I
Right.
like how Manny said, I like her design. It's like,
Yeah, I like her
Come on,
design,
Manny.
too.
I like her design. I think I think her suit's good. She thinks she looks cool, but she just kind of isn't kind of an
She looks
asshole.
like she looks like the actress, too, unlike the new games, you know,
So
where they just
uh,
forgot how to render people's faces all of a sudden.
Miranda doesn't do boxing on the side, you know?
Yeah, oh, shit. All right, Adam, did you go, man?
Yeah,
Hey, Tony, you gotta watch out for
well,
those space bees. Everybody's allergic to them.
Space.
Yes. Oh, shit.
Probably Cole from Infamous.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, man.
Cole McGrath, yeah.
Here's my thing going on that I hated his design, the first one. You look like a fucking bum, you know?
I know who I don't like. I don't like the guy, the one from the new Infamous,
Oh,
yeah,
God.
no one liked him. No
Troy
one liked him.
Baker.
But
I
he's
hate.
not really. He's not
You just called him
beloved.
Troy Baker.
He's not beloved though, Manny. Come on,
Eh,
gotta be
I
a
hate him.
beloved character. Yeah.
I call him my nickname for him is the dock worker because he looks like a dock worker.
Yeah, he's not beloved though, so you're
Is he
right
not
there.
beloved? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anyone likes him.
Troy Baker. That's gonna like Troy Baker.
All right, let's move on, man. All right, this is a fun one. He goes, at what point does keeping old consoles and games become a pointless exercise in nostalgia?
Never.
Yeah. Well, you know how my man always gets with these long ass questions. He goes, I imagine many of you fine dudes like myself have an affinity for the games of old. whether it be the early generation of polygonal 3D games, the 16-bit era, or the earliest games. We all have some classics near and dear to our hearts. With all the re-releases, remasters, and emulators available today, it may even be easier than ever to enjoy these games. Despite these conveniences, I still cling to a few of my old consoles. I still have my SNES, Genesis, N64, and dozens of games for each of them. However, I find myself playing these games less and less over the years. I'm starting to think that I'm keeping these consoles just to have as a reminder of the great memories they've provided me. I find this nostalgia particularly odd since I had no desire to keep my VHS or DVD players or any of the tapes and discs. At what point do we as gamers need to let go of these pieces of hardware and software and accept that they are largely just collecting dust and look neat on a entertainment center? My thing is like, bro, man, if you enjoy that shit, keep buying it, man.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel like anything about that. If there's the room underneath your television, who says it's not enough room to fit an old Nintendo and any of the other old consoles on there?
Bro, I got two fucking Sega Saturns. They're not doing anything, but I still want them,
Also, dude, you will never be able to replicate the full experience. Like, you can run a ROM, you can buy a controller or something like that, but you're not going to replicate the feeling. Like, if you could find a brand new Super Nintendo controller and pop in Super Mario Brothers, you will not get that same experience anywhere else.
That's the whole reason why I play all my Game Boy games on actual Game Boys, because I want that original feel. I want the it's the nostalgia of the whole aspect. It was like, I remember when this was new. I remember buying this or playing this my 1989 Game Boy when it came out in 1989.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put a little bit of a dark fine point on this, but man, like, nostalgia at the end of the day is beloved memories, and when you're lying on your deathbed or somebody you love has to go, those are the things that are the most cherished things. Like, those are the most valuable asset that you have. So don't dismiss nostalgia. Like, realize it. Don't let it distort your worldview. But if it's there and it's enjoyable, fucking revel in it, man. Like, I love telling people the best part of Christmas is the 3 weeks before Christmas, when you get to kind of relive those moments. Then you're almost inevitably let down. So what do you want to do? Spend 3 weeks really happy and a day let down, or 3 weeks being fucking cynical and drinking haterade, thinking that you're going to have a shitty Christmas, and then you prove yourself right? Like, nostalgia, those memories and living in those good memories it's an undervalued thing. Like, don't look down on it. It'll get you through the hard times, and really, some could say it's the most important things in your life. So those it's the reason I still have my gold Zelda cartridge. Like, it reminds me, like, I love the feel of it. I love running my hands across the ridges because it brings me back to that time. And that's a treasured thing, man. Like, you hold on to that. Don't diminish that, and don't dismiss it.
Yeah, well said, man.
Cherish the heart.
I don't think we could top that one. You said it perfectly right there. Unless anybody feels different, like, no, fuck. Daniel's in the chat saying the emulators are 10 times better than the original.
Nope.
No.
We have all kinds of issues.
Go get
all kinds of issues.
Original, man. Go get an original NES or Super NES and get a game. And
yeah, he goes fuck original emulator 10 times better.
Nope. Hell, even the Nintendo one, the classic that he just discontinued, that was just a horrible emulator.
Yep. It didn't play any of the games as they were originally played.
The people that bitch about it, that don't bitch about it, people that just don't know. They don't remember, or they were too young.
I mean, you had the challenge of the originals too. Like, with emulators, you have save states and built-in game genies and all this stuff you could get modded ROMs and do all sorts of crazy stuff. But when you have the original game, you can't cheat unless you put a game genie on there. You can't mod it. Like, you just have to play it the way it was meant to be played, the original one.
Yeah, see, look at this shit
right here. Lag and all that stuff.
Yeah, he goes, need emulation to clean up shitty textures. Fuck that, man. I want to see the original graphic.
To clean up shitty textures that were never supposed to be that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also, let's go take 2001 and add CG to it.
Yeah, right. Like, if you can, you get yourself an old CTR TV, you get the old original shit.
Yeah, man. That thing was never meant to play on a on a current TV.
Exactly.
On a 1080p or 4K. Imagine we hook up an NES and put it on a 4K TV. A little terrible, but it wasn't meant to be on there. Like you need a tube TV.
Yep.
I mean, the thing is that like some of the better sort of hardware consoles which actually fully replicate a hardware experience, a lot of those things actually are able to produce a high resolution image as well as keep the address any latency issues, because because if you realize one thing you have to realize, guys, is that every single game that we're currently playing now, we're playing it with a delay.
Yep.
You're playing it with a delay from the TV. You're also playing it with a delay from your controller to your console.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you youngbloods have no idea how on point your timing used to have to be.
Yeah, man.
I use that latency to blame every time I lose in Call of Duty Online. I'm like, it's just my latency, yo. I'm hot. I know what I'm doing. It's
I'm fired, man, but it's latency.
This latency's got my game messed up. Not me. Not me.
He goes, you guys enjoy shitty. I'll enjoy my less shitty version of the game. All right, brother.
That's cool.
Whatever you say, man.
Someone's trolling, so
yeah.
Oh, well.
All right, man. Let's move on here, man. All right, this is from Vishal Thind. He goes, "What's up, Tony and others? Great debate between Chris and Brett last week. It was really entertaining. Hope Brett's internet doesn't fuck up this week. It's been great this week, actually." He goes, "I'm with Chris on this one. Sorry, Brett, but hashtag Team Chris. Is that a new thing now? What
is going on here?"
All right, man. Let's get into this shit, Chris.
What is this? What is this like? Fucking. What the hell is that?
Hey, listen. There's been some hashtags Team Brett's too, so don't think it's like all lopsided.
What is it? No, I'm saying like, what is this like? Fucking Twilight.
This shit started with fucking Conan O'Brien. Like people are going hashtag Team Coco. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So now everybody goes Team this, Team that.
Show coming that it's just him as Clueless Gamer.
Oh God,
I got approved for the summer, so
can't stand that. All right, let's get into this shit. Okay, Super Data confirmed that Switch sold 2.4 million units in its first month. So I think that means Nintendo. He goes, I think that actually means they shipped 2.4 million. What are your thoughts on that? I also want to add for Chris that it seems like Europe saw a really big drop after the first week. Maybe Nintendo undershipped Switch in Europe. That's just my opinion. All right, Chris, I'm going right to you, man. Because remember, we saw those sales from NPD. They originally said 1.3 million sold. Now this is 2.4. That's more than double. So what's going on here?
Well, here's the thing, that Nintendo doesn't report sold units; they report units shipped.
Yeah.
And when they ship them, they get their money up front from retailers, so they got that money, right? So if I don't think Super Data is lying, I don't think that number is made up.
I think it's shipped though; it's not sold.
Yeah, it's shipped. Yeah, those are shipped units, not sold units. So the NPD data is right, and this data is right, but there's a difference. Yeah, the Super Data is telling you the number of units shipped as of whenever they got that value.
I just want to throw in there, one of the reasons that distinction is important is consoles, especially like the Switch. And I'm not sure how reliable this number is, but I hear they spend almost 4 months from the time that they drop off the production line to go through packaging, distribution centers, shipping, being sent over on the fucking boat from the time it comes off the production line to the time that it hits your store shelves is about 4 months. So there are probably a shitload of Switches in transit and distribution centers right now that are slowly getting metered out to the public. So that's one of the reasons why there's a huge difference between shipped and sold too, is because there's a time discrepancy there that you need to take into account.
Right. So like for the United States, our distribution center is North Bend. And so they send all the units there, right? But the guys in North Bend have to pack all those systems, right? So we get English books, English guys, all that stuff. Like each region gets their own stuff, but they have to pack them there. They don't get packed in China. The units just get shipped over here and over to other countries, and then they pack it there and box it, and then they get shipped out to all the retailers, So, and I don't know how they figure out who gets what or how much. That I don't know, but that is right. That's how they do it. And So just because they shipped out 2.4 million units doesn't mean that some of them could be on a boat for all I know.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to be because they're not sitting on store shelves. We know that much.
Yeah, or they're in North Bend and other places getting packed up and stocked up and then shipped out. It takes a while. It's a long process.
Yeah,
You
it's just
also,
weird.
also remember the system being sold out everywhere is not uniform. I've also heard reports of like a bunch of Switch boxes just lined up and stuff, in stores. No one's buying them, so it's not like universal,
I've heard that. The stock tracking websites tell a completely different story, though.
What do they say?
They maintain that it's sold out. They'll come in batches of about up to a dozen, and they'll last for about up to 2 hours to sometimes 4 to 6, depending on like if it's like a slow Tuesday. But they never.
And they all end up on eBay. God damn, there's so many on eBay.
Oh man,
so many.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but I think we could all agree this is shipped. This is not sold.
Yeah, this is shipped numbers. Yeah,
exactly. So again, you guys, having your little parades are calm it down. Shipped, not sold.
Yeah.
All right. Next question here. This one just happened over the weekend, actually. Star Wars Battlefront 2 will have a female protagonist. As expected, outrage has been seen from a minority of male gamers because of this. I don't understand how they can't relate to playing as a female, but they can relate to playing as a Bandicoot, Alien, monsters, and non-face characters like Master Chief. What are your thoughts on this?
Stack up.
Here's my
I'm sorry though.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Like,
yeah,
female gamers have been playing male protagonists for fucking ever. Like, and there are a lot of great games. Like, fucking Samus Aran, one of my favorite female characters of all time. Like, I've been playing her forever. Like, I play a female in most of my Dark Souls characters. Like, quit trying to inject yourself into every narrative experience and just appreciate, like, do you have to be the main character in every book that you read? Do you have to be John Everyman in every movie that you see? Like, it's just a weird premise that, and I'll be honest, I think it's weird when people get skeeved out about, like, well, I don't want to play a girl. Like, dude, that's one of those, the lady doth protest it's too much. You're like, do you wear dresses when you're like at home by yourself or something like that?
Yeah, to me, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it just seems like it's insecurity. You know what I'm saying? Like, they feel maybe they're less manly at playing it. Listen, man, I was playing as Lara Croft 20 years ago. I felt like a fucking badass, man. Samus, all that shit. You guys are being stupid. But this is something I saw because I wasn't really privy to this until this afternoon. This is what this one guy says. He goes, EA Battlefield 2 story is going to be yet another quote-unquote empowered woman fantasy. The female protagonists were the weakest elements of the recent Star Wars movies.
Whoa.
What the fuck, son?
All right.
Yeah, so no, man.
I can see the fear of the first one, because like we do live in an environment where right now, and I think we're coming off the tail end of it, girl power is the big thing, and you see all this stuff brewing in academia. And one of the things I'm privy to is my sister works in higher education, so she's actually seeing the pendulum swing the other way. There's supposedly a lot of wanting to take back the term feminism and kind of kick out a bunch of these crazy people who are trying to ham fist girl power down to everything. Like, there's more subtle ways to tell the story. And so we do kind of live in an environment, like we live in post Ghostbusters time. So like, yeah, I think it's a legitimate fear that if handled incorrectly, that it could go south. But I don't think there's any evidence that backs up that just because there's a female protagonist means that somebody's going to mishandle it. And I would definitely argue with the second point that you made, that I don't think that the female protagonists have been a weak point of the Star Wars series. So I don't think there's a track record to worry about that, but to each their own opinion, I suppose.
And then my other thing is like, wait, so Star Wars Battlefront finally has a fucking story. That's the main reason I didn't pick up the game. That's the main reason a lot of people didn't pick up the game. You finally have a story, and you're bitching about a female character who, by the way, is actually being played. I don't have her name here, but she's being played by an actual actress. Looks exactly like her. I'm like, come on, that's cool. They're not getting just some slow, Joe
first person. It's still FPS, right? So it doesn't even matter.
By the way, I do need to say this though, because you know how some people want to get on the virtue signal high horse. They're like, oh, Star Wars has a strong black female lead. I'm like, hey guys, she's actually Indian. Come on, man. Just because she has dark skin, she's automatically black.
That's racist.
No,
She's brown skin. That's fine enough.
Yeah, but I just find funny the people who are always like so ready to call somebody a racist automatically assume, oh, brown skin, they're black. I'm like, no. Do you know who
We
the
learned
actress
that
is? The actress is fucking Indian. Come on, man.
We learned that from the industry and how they saw mafia. So,
Yo, who watched that show True Blood? It's the Indian chick from that show. Fine chick, man. Fine. You know? So I'm down with that.
I think that the main thing is that we don't know whether or not like the decision to have her was because of it fits the story, or we have her because of the general female protagonist narrative that's being pushed down here.
Oh, you know,
So
I understand that.
I think that's
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's my biggest issue here. Like, I don't know whether or not it's like, hey, you know what? A female character works well in this situation, hence why she's female, or is it because hey, female characters are what's quote unquote in at the moment, hence let's have one.
But here's my thing: if the character is written well, it shouldn't matter what gender they are. You know?
Oh hell no, it does not matter at all. But then, why does she exist in the first place? I don't know. Hence why I'm a bit confused. But either way, because I don't know whether this was an issue way back when Lara Croft first debuted in
no one gave a shit. Yeah, no one cared. Because I wasn't part of the narrative, as Manny would say back then. Nobody was talking about that sort of stuff.
Nobody was talking about that. You know, people were happy that there was a strong female character in a game.
Talking about her boobies. That's what people were doing.
Now at the same point, now we're talking about like having a female character and having a character that that may not be what was considered attractive, like a more of a every lady on the street kind of, as opposed to a even though it's funny because you get the girl from True Blood, who's obviously a very attractive woman in this game.
By the way, I got her name here is Janina Gavankar. So yeah, she's a famous actress, And by the way, hey, BioWare, this is EA making that game. You notice how they made her look exactly like the actress? Just saying.
Okay. I think for BioWare it's a different story, because you remember how much like ragging on BioWare gets in general for just trying to go in those directions, because people are just not happy,
Yeah, but again, my thing is, I don't care if male, females. Like, if you're gonna have a specific actor in the game and you're trying to make them look like themselves, make them look like themselves at least,
I mean, to be honest, this I'm not sure why anybody's even getting in an uproar over this. And for me, on the other hand, I've never really cared for first-person shooting sort of games, and so who cares who the person behind whose eyes you're looking?
To be fair, though, Manny, in Star Wars Battlefront, you could switch between the two, third person and first person.
Yeah, here's my question. Like, it feels like a little bit of a step backwards, and this is the only place that I get hesitant. Like, okay, so in the first Battlefront game, you could unlock different characters and different classes of both genders, different species, and things like that. Like, why did they not take a Mass Effect approach to this, where you can take the character that you are customizing through your campaign and bring him into multiplayer? That way you have some sort of attachment to the character.
That makes too much sense, Brad.
Well, no, here's where I get in a little trouble. The only real answer from that.
I can answer that right. Because the story of that. Okay, are you talking about like the remake of Battlefield or the OG ones?
The remake.
Okay, the remake, I have no idea. But in the OG ones, it's because that you went through the story of the sagas, hence why you couldn't switch back and forth. But the remake, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not saying that this is validated in any particular form, but like the fact that they don't let you make and customize your own character leads me to believe that there might be some validation in the whole, like, is this going to be a female-centric story? And that's fine if it's a female-centric story, but those can often be mishandled. Like, I'd much rather see, a Samus Aran type character than, I'd rather see, it's one of the reasons I liked Iron Fist is the females in that show. It wasn't fucking Jessica Jones where it was girl power. It was like, oh, let me come along and protect you. I don't need your fucking protection. End of story. That right there is a strong, independent woman. Cool. You don't need to fucking throw a parade for it. Just beginning, middle, end. Like, I enjoyed that. It's one of the reasons Samus Aran is one of my favorite characters. Like, she doesn't take shit. She
kind of a hard ass, and like I was really super pissed when they tried to give her a love backstory. Like, that's not fucking Samus. Like, don't do that shit. So if it's they're just going to make an awesome character who happens to be female, cool. But if they're being like, let's make a female character and then build a story around her being female, like, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. Just focus on the narrative and the story. But again, this is all just conjecture at this point. Just because somebody has a female protagonist doesn't mean that they're necessarily pandering.
Yeah, I'm just happy it has a fucking story, and the story seems pretty cool. Like, basically, you play as an Imperial officer who wants to avenge the Emperor, and it spans the 30 years in between the movies.
That sounds pretty old.
Yeah, she probably gets old. So I
I'm
want
just happy that we actually have like a Star Wars game that's single player now, which is great.
Yes, exactly.
Is it true that it spans through like the 3 generations?
Not
like
3 generations, 30 years. The 30 years in between episode 6 and 8 and 7.
I thought it was like
I'm pissed because they said all eras. Where's the Knights? Where's the Old Republic shit?
They never said all eras.
I thought they said like
eras of the the
multiplayer is gonna go all over the place, obviously, but the single player story.
I wanted the single player of like go through like the Clone Wars and then like the New Hope stuff and then all sorts. Man, that would have been cool.
Play as Yoda, because he's the only one who could live long enough to be through all those.
No, you can play as like different characters, like character.
Who wants to do that?
I want to do that.
I do.
Yeah,
I want an anthology.
I want to do all the sagas. That's all I want to do. Like, I want to play like freaking all of it. It's Star Wars.
But can't you just make individual movies for those? I mean, individual games for those. Then wouldn't that be better?
Don't give EA good ideas, Tony. And also, apparently, it won't have a season pass, which I think is just like really shocking. I think EA may be dying because this is like an out of blue thing. It's like, no season pass for your game. Like, are you okay?
Did Titanfall do the same thing?
Yeah. No. No season pass.
What is going on?
Still in the games.
Who are these people?
Ubisoft is doing the same thing now.
Does Mass Effect have a season pass?
The new ones don't have season pass.
No season pass. There's going to be DLC though.
Gosh, this is weird.
All right, man. Let's move on here. Last question here. Okay, do we need mid-gen upgrades like the PS4 Pro and Xbox Scorpio? Was this a once-in-a-lifetime type of thing, or will we see more mid-gen upgrades in coming generations? All right, 2 questions here. First one, no, we actually don't need these, but you're gonna see them regardless. Because
to be honest, I think that all depends on how this mid-gen thing's doing, and obviously, it's not doing the greatest.
Oh, yes, please fail and end this nightmare.
Here's what I propose to the gaming industry, right? Make 4-year life cycles. That's it. Just make 4-year life cycles.
5 years. 5 years. No. The standard was 5 years until last generation.
But Brett, look, if it was up to me, I would say 5 years too. But the thing is, they want to get these things out quicker. I'm like, okay, you want to get them out quicker? Get them 1 year quicker.
Pattern. We followed the pattern for so long, and it worked. And then for some reason, last generation, we're like, well, we're going to push it closer to 10. And now everybody seems to like forgot. Like, look, I realize technology moves fast, but 5 years is not too much. I mean, even chipset architecture hasn't changed that drastically in 5 years. They made leaps and bounds. Yeah, like 5 years later, you definitely want to upgrade. But fucking 2-3 years later, like, you look at the i7s through subsequent generations, like 2 generations, it does not make or break the difference of whether or not you're going to be able to play a game. That seems to come around 5 years.
By the way, Nate is saying something. I think he may be onto something. He goes, he thinks that these mid-gen things are here because of 4K, because all the fans like, we want 4K, we want 4K, we want 4K.
You know what? Were they really saying that we want 4K?
Yeah, that's all you see. That's all you see. And here's the biggest
thing that people have been saying is the 60 frames.
No, no one talks about that.
No, I think they do.
No, they talk about that.
No, they talk about 4K more than I'm doing screaming like, guys, 60 frames is better than 4K. But they're like, no, that shit doesn't matter. That shit don't matter.
Well, that's because they're fucking smoking they're already smoking the fucking reefer that these assholes are selling them.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah, because Microsoft and Sony said, oh yeah, 4K, but nobody was talking about that shit. 4K's been around for years, and now it's important.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I think you're onto something. they manufactured that. It's like this is what you guys
It's
want.
it's the same shit with the TVs. It's like somehow it's like, oh yeah, everybody's talking about 3Ds. No. You motherfuckers are talking about 3D.
Yeah. But I guess this one sucks because not everybody wants 4K. Like if it's not 4K, it's not worth buying. Like I'm hearing people say this shit. And I was fucking dumb.
I mean, most of you motherfuckers will probably don't even know how to turn the 4K mode on your TV or some shit. You're just happy to hear that it is capable of doing.
You guys are gonna love this. This idiot crap gamer saying playing in 4K makes you a better gamer.
Oh, does it?
Wow.
On my TV?
Yeah. Idiots. So yeah, no, they're not necessary, but they're here to stay.
I can say I can see 60 frames a second makes you better.
Yes, you know
what makes you an even better player? Directly plugging an old school controller into a USB port. Like a wired controller is always going to give you a better response rate. So like if you're really concerned about being a better gamer, then what are you doing on a console, bro?
Oh. But yeah, no, they're not necessary.
If we went based off of that theory, then nobody would have bought a Switch. Like what? No 4K.
Yeah, I mean, some people complain about that, but Nintendo fans don't give a shit about that.
That's silly.
I can't believe we all agree on that one, basically.
I mean, it'll be a thing. Trust me. Like years down the road, we'll all have 4K TVs and we'll all be playing in 4K. Like, yeah, standard, I get that. Yeah. But like, and Brian, I think might be able to back me up on this. Like, the higher resolution your monitor, like it takes an exponential toll on your chipset. I mean, jump from 1080 to 4K, like you require a lot more power to be able to do that.
Yeah, no, everybody tells me that. That's why a lot of PC gamers, they opt for 1440p. You get higher resolution, but you don't lose your input and shit.
Dude, I game at 1660, and like I fucking love it.
Yeah. Most PC gamers are like 4K. What was wrong with you?
Well, at that point, they're like, yeah, I mean, if you really want to sacrifice your performance, but otherwise you could have like, higher frame rate and particle effects and like all the fucking bells and whistles turned on and not lag out.
Oh man, you could turn that ambient occlusion on.
Right? Like I'd rather see fog. Like I'd rather see light bouncing off of ambient fog and causing cool reflections across character models than see it in 4K. Like you start giving me like truly realistic, like, and I'm talking about water actually reflecting light. Like start fucking building physics engines into the game that make light work according to a set of rules, so you don't have to program. And this has been happening. Like this is getting better. Like, and I still nerd out every time I pass a green light source, and like you see like the green pass over your character, everything like that's the kind of shit that I want to see. But like, I mean, we're still at the point like we can't do reflections. Do you realize how retarded that is?
Because you know why that happens, right? It's because it's actually incredibly taxing on your system, because what it's doing is essentially for most video games, they're actually not rendering the other side of the character. The side of the character that's not facing the screen, facing you, the player, is not getting rendered, and neither is the back behind the camera.
Hey man, there's reflections in Portal.
There's reflections in Portal, but I mean, I'm sure they're using a bunch of funky tricks to do that, and that's how reflections are usually done. Real-time reflections don't actually are incredibly taxing to a system. So what they usually do is whenever they do reflections, is they do two versions. There's one that essentially projects the same image that you see on your screen, and then reverses it upside down on the surface. But a lot of times you'll see it's a little low res. Then the other version of that is if they make a total reverse of the environment upside down, and that's how they get away with the reflection. That's how a lot of reflections in old games were, where they essentially have an alternate room underneath or below or on the other side of a wall, and then duplicate a portion of the environment there.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like, if all this stuff is so taxing on the hardware, like, why would you not devote the power to that kind of thing as opposed to 4K? Like, let's get good at creating environments before we try and just upscale all the shortcuts that we've taken so far. Like, it's even down to like, and I've seen some people playing around with like, physics engines and even tech demos like years ago, where they're like, now here's some fire, now here's some water, and now here's the fire and the water, and you'll notice how the lighting is reflecting off the water and bouncing against this wall, causing that kind of orange glowy underwatery effect pattern. Like, and to be able to, they can only do these in very small tech demos. I want to see that kind of thing implemented fully, and I'd love to see fucking, like, again, destructible environments. Like, I'd like to see things that are taxing on hardware being implemented along with better hardware, as opposed to just being like, oh, well, we can upscale this. Like, I do not give a rat's flying fuck if you can upscale this. How about you make it look better? How about you make it look like not all your characters were stung by fucking bees? Let's start there.
I agree with that.
Like, I don't care how much you upscale an ugly character. It's still an ugly character.
You mean you ugly?
Yeah, I agree. All right. Now, okay, it's gonna be heavy now. So my man, Bryan Wilson, right? He wrote a thing about, he heard the debate between Chris and Brett. He enjoyed it, but he had some thoughts on it. He wrote a long thing. Now, here's the problem with Discuss, right? Discuss is kind of bullshit nowadays. So when you write a lot, it flags it as spam, right? So his shit got deleted instantly from the comment section, which fucking sucks. Luckily, he was able to retrieve it, and he sent me the email. So I'm going to read what he says. And obviously I do want to read this because he obviously put a lot of work into shit. Everything was spelled correctly and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good. Just read it.
All right, guys, let's do this. So he goes, hey guys, I'm always catching the show, whether live or streaming it later. Been keeping up with the debate about the Switch and been wanting to throw my 2 cents in there. So here are a few thoughts on the Switch debate between Brett and Chris. He goes, let me frame this from a personal experience. I was intrigued at the idea of Switch. I briefly considered buying it. As the game releases were slowly unveiled, I opted not to. Though it is a little overpriced, that wouldn't stop me from buying it if it met my needs. And if the Switch's value is in its portability, which gives it a function that other consoles do not provide, then does a portable console fit into my lifestyle? And the first question that comes to my mind for me is, what are my needs? He goes, as a married adult with a full-time job, plenty of disposable income, and no kids, I've got more money to buy than I have time to play the games. And with the recent onslaught of game releases, I'm jammed up with Mass Effect and Zelda on backlog. I'm looking forward to picking up Horizon, Neo, and Nier when they start dropping in price later on this year, and maybe waiting until some of them are re-released as complete Game of the Year editions with all the DLC included. And that's not even counting the games yet to be released this year. As you guys have said on the podcast, it's been crazy now. What does this have to do with the Switch? Firstly, income is important to note because while price and value matter to most consumers, function and experience matter more when money is less of an issue. Secondly, the question becomes, when the fuck am I supposed to play all this stuff? My commute to work is a 15-minute drive. At work, I'm usually working. When I'm not, I have a back catalog of Steam games on my underpowered work computer, great for small indies and older games. If I'm not at work, I'm at home staring at a huge PS4 or even PS3 backlog in the face. At what point would it make sense for me to play a Switch? The answer for me is that it doesn't make any sense. But that's not to say that I don't see the value in the Switch. You guys have often debated whether or not it's a console or a portable. The obvious answer is that it's both. And while that may put it in competition with PS4 and Xbox in most people's eyes, for me, it doesn't. Because if I bought it, it would be solely for the purpose of taking a AAA game experience with me everywhere I go and also being able to enjoy it in the sanctity of my home. I could theoretically start an epic journey after a meeting at work and continue it after dinner without missing a beat. The PS4 can't do this. It can't come with me to the store to visit relatives and in-laws or on a training retreat at work. This duality makes the Switch its own special thing, and I would not consider its underwhelming console qualities a deal breaker when thinking about whether or not to buy one. I've got an unbelievable home console and with a ridiculous library. I wouldn't need the Switch to fill that need. Now, if I've got a limited budget and one choice of what to buy for my gaming needs, then it's a completely different conversation. I couldn't take a risk of paying $360 plus for Zelda and a Switch and maybe one game per month after that. It doesn't make any sense. I'd be bored out of my mind unless I played Zelda for 3 months. And while it may be a complete a complete and detailed enough game to keep some people busy for that long. I'm not nearly as big a fan of the tedium and survival games like Zelda as I am expansive story and lore games like Witcher 3. With all that being said, the Switch is cool. The Switch has value. The price point, when you add in all the bells and whistles to compete with the experience, wouldn't detract from my interest as an early adopter. Early adoption of any tech usually comes with the same risk and challenges associated with the Switch right now. I just don't spend enough time away from home for a portable console to make sense for me. He goes, I love the show, love the debate, love the passion. Keep it going, guys. And thank you for that long ass thing. That's the kind of shit we want on this show, man. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
That is how to bring up a point as an adult, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are the problem people in the audience, like that, we love discussion, we love debate, we love people bringing up points, and this is it's solidly written and well done. And the only thing, like, I absolutely agree with 99.9% of this. The only addendum I would make is, would you be changing your mind if you were not allowed to put Steam on your work computer? Or I'm assuming this means the computer provided to you by work, unless you mean you have a laptop, you know, an underpowered laptop that you bring with you in which you use for Steam games, which that absolutely fills the niche of what the Switch does. Again, not very powerful, but highly mobile.
But if he's at work and he's in front of his computer, then maybe they just think he's working and he has Steam on it. But if he didn't have Steam on it and then he's whipping out his console, I mean, that's noticeable. It's like, hey, he's not looking at his computer, so what the fuck is he looking at? Oh, he's playing some.
It'd be pretty easy to pop the Switch up. Then we're talking about like them looking at what's on your screen, and it's actually be pretty easy to be discreet about, you know, holding a Switch in your lap or like popping it up just above your keyboard below your monitor and playing it with Joy-Cons under the desk.
Would you take that chance? Would you take that chance?
It depends. If when I say that you're not allowed to have Steam on your computer, like a lot of companies have their computers on lockdown so that you can't access certain websites. Like it's straight firewall off. So
I set those up.
So I'm talking about that kind of thing. Like if you're talking about, is your manager peeking over your shoulder to make sure you're not playing video games? No, you probably should not be playing Steam or the Switch at work at that point. But as he says he plays Steam at work, I'm assuming that he has downtime and the availability. So the question then becomes like, well, what if you weren't allowed to put it on your work computer? Would then, you know, would that change your mind? But it sounds like he has all of his bases covered, and much like I was, like he didn't.
But it also sounds like he's never had a portable. He doesn't mention anything about having a PSP or a Vita or 3DS, so it's not like he's ever been in that world at all.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like he needs a portable system. Yeah. And I mean, that is a big draw of the Switch. So yeah, I mean, I've even said, like, you know, if you're going to keep the thing docked, you know, 100% of the time, then you're kind of, you know, missing the point. So yeah, no, I think that's a very succinct and good breakdown of, you know, when it's valuable and when it's not. And I would say you are one of the people that, no, it probably isn't a good choice for you, especially I think you said you have Zelda in your backlog, so I'm assuming that means you already have a Wii U. And honestly, that's, you know, I still consider that a launch title. I still consider a system seller. So if you already have access to it, then yeah, there's no reason not to wait a little while until the game library fills out, especially if it does. If the mobile part doesn't fill your jibby or jangles, then maybe Nintendo's exclusives will. And if that doesn't do that, then yeah, you have absolutely no reason to pick up a Switch. I wouldn't spend my money on it. The thing that I would add in there, though, is it was pretty cool being able to bring my Switch over, pop it up on my buddy's table, hand him a Joy-Con, and play, you know, Guilty Gear, Metal Slug. It's nice. It reminds me of the days when I used to carry my GameCube around with me, because the motherfucker had a handle and you could throw it in a backpack, and like you'd roll over to somebody's house, hook it up real quick, and you know, spend the night drinking and playing Mario Party. Like it was a multiplayer experience that I find myself lacking in the, like, I can't do that with PlayStation. I even remember the original Xbox, you know, how big a deal it was that it had 4 ports in it so that you could play these party games, which they never really came out with. So you know, if you don't have kids that you're trying to play with, if you don't if your spouse or you don't have a spouse, isn't interested in it, then yeah, I mean, a lot of the good things about it are kind of being taken out from it. So it absolutely should compete with your home console, in my opinion. I'm just agreeing with you, I guess, over and over again.
See, what I like about this is that he's saying the Switch is not for him, but he's saying it has value. So I like that he comes at it from both angles.
It's a very unbiased and neutral response, and like I think he kind of hits the nail on the head. Like, it's for some people, it's not for others, and I like the fact that he can see, like, hey, this isn't my thing, but I can see where other people might like it, and like that's really all I was ever coming from is, for some people it is, for some people it isn't. The same way, the Scorpio is going to be for some people and for others it's not. It just really depends on what you want and what niches you need filled. And usually I consider those multiple. And even in his answer, like he has gaming at work covered. He has, a commute where he's driving, like, so one of the main reasons I like my Switch is I can take it up to the tattoo shop where, if I'm not working, I'm just hanging out. Now, as I book further and further out with appointments, do I bring it up with me on like a day where I'm fully stacked? No. But if I'm supposed to be watching the Youngbloods in the shop on a Saturday and I only have about half my day booked out, I could pretty well anticipate I'll have a dead hour or two in there. And even if I don't, like, it's, not that much extra backpack space. I'm already carrying an iPad with me.
Yeah, and then shout out to my man Kofi. Kofi plays. He says he plays his Switch 80, handheld mode 80% of the time. Because like he says, I work. He works 8 hours a day like most people, but he says 4 of those hours he's not really working, so he just pulls out his fucking Switch. So that makes sense, But then again, when you have then there's people like me who I work from home. If I'm going to play, my TV's right there. The whole portable aspect doesn't even factor into it. So, it's for different folks for sure.
Wait, you said he doesn't work for 4 hours?
Yeah, during an 8 hour day, 4 of those hours, maybe not all in a chunk, but he's not doing anything. I'm pretty sure most guys who work in an office are like that.
Yeah, a lot of those corporate farms, you can keep your head low. And like even Rachel used to tell me, like, yeah, you go in at 8 and nobody fucking starts working until 10:30. And even then
yeah. No, there's
go to a giant faceless corporation where you can blend into the beige crowd. I'm sure you'll be super happy with your choice.
All right. Also, Brian goes, Tony, when am I going to be back on? Whenever you have time, bro, because I know you busy and shit. But dude, we had you on like months ago. You were a fucking great guest, so definitely want to have you back on again for sure.
It seems like Brian needs a Vita. I don't know if he has one.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to get him into the Church of Vita, man.
Hey, we do it, man. We got you in there, Carlos. We'll get others. All right, now another, not as long as Brian's saying, but Gority, he had something to say, and it's a little bit tied to what I just finished saying about being at home. He goes, the Nintendo debate was great. I think Brett's love for Zelda is clouding his judgment for the Switch, though. I'm not saying Nintendo is going to fail in the next years, but he's only looking at it one way, with the portability being a plus. His justification of the price also doesn't make sense because of this. For those of us like me and Tony who want a Nintendo console and not a portable, to have to pay $300 for a system that is less powerful than older systems because it's portable and has motion controls, even though that does nothing for us. We also need to pay an extra $70 for additional normal controller and an extra money on an SD card, which isn't that expensive, but it adds up. At that point, the price is almost equivalent to a PlayStation 4 Pro. Find a way to accommodate people who aren't portable gamers and don't want to pay a premium for a console/portable if they aren't going to be using most of the features. Hell, give me a SKU that doesn't have the screen, no Joy-Cons, and no Pro Controller and a hard drive. I'll pay $300 for that, even though it's less powerful, because they are accommodating how I want to game. Will that limit me from playing some games when they release? Sure, but I'm okay with that because I wouldn't be playing those games anyway. He says another thing, but I want to break that part down. Yeah, like if you're gonna, because again, for me and Gority, obviously, we don't play this thing portable. To us, it is a console. So I'm like, okay, I just paid nearly $500 for this, and it's a shitty console compared to a PlayStation. So that's
but
the way,
Tony, I even told you,
let me finish. So that's the way we're coming at it from. So yeah, if you were to release a version of the Switch where you're like, okay, for $300 you get this, just the console, a Pro controller, and an SD card, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's a shittier console, but it's cheaper. Fine, that's no problem, So I get where he's coming at it from, Go ahead, Brett. What do you need to say?
I'm not even retorting. It's just, I told Tony off air that if he didn't work for the game industry, he should not have bought a Switch.
Yeah, I said that. I said the only reason I bought it is because I work for the industry. If I was just a regular gamer, I would not have picked this system up. No way. It is not. It is, to me, or guys like me, not not viable, not valuable at all. But since I do work in the industry, and it did help me write some shit, so I needed it. But yeah, no, definitely. If you're a console guy, you don't plan to take the shit out to the house, you do not need a Switch at all at this moment. There's not enough games for it. It's Zelda, and pretty much that's it. So that's where Gority's coming at it from too.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Zelda, and again, this is coming from a place of me like I'm enjoying. I've learned to enjoy the hype, so I'm letting myself be fully hyped for Zelda because, fuck, dude, like I've had more time to sit around and daydream about getting back into Zelda than I have to actually play Zelda.
Man, that's how you know your game's got you, man.
Yeah, but but I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying every minute of it, even when I'm not.
No, I said that in a positive way. That's how you know a game is good for you, man.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say based on your gaming needs. That's that'd be like buying a Vita to hook up to your TV and expecting it to be the equivalent to the PlayStation. Like you're
a Vita TV.
Yeah, like you're eschewing half of the features just because they're not directed at you. So I mean, the console probably isn't directed at you. A lot of the things that I've said that supports it is its mobility, its library, and its access to co-op games. And I still stand by all of these things. Now, if mobility isn't your thing, then do you have people that you want to co-op game with? Do you want to sit on the couch and play a game? Like,
that's also a no for me.
What's that?
That's also a no for me.
Well, no, absolutely, and that's again like why I said it's a lot of us have friends that are spread around the country, but some of us still want to be able to go over to a friend's house and bust out a video game. So if none of these things apply to you, I mean, that's like saying you're like, well, why am I going to spend the money on a Lamborghini? It doesn't have a backseat for my groceries. I still have to go 45 miles an hour on the speed limit, and I get worse gas mileage than I would in a Kia. Well, yeah, you buy a Ferrari to fucking race and go fast. If you're not interested in that, then it's not really the right product choice for you.
Yeah, like I always say, it's like, why do you buy a Ferrari or Lamborghini if you live in New York City? That makes no fucking sense.
Exactly. So while I would agree that
people still do it,
I know it's stupid. Like, why are you buying this fucking car? What's wrong with you? You're still taking the subway to work. Oh man, but yeah, no, everybody has different lifestyles, man. But yeah, no, again, just in case nobody understood it, even I thought I made it clear, I only bought the system because of work, and also because I still believe the systems, I still believe this is going to be Nintendo's last system, so I want to have it around as a novelty in a few years. Like, hey guys, look what I used. Remember this thing, And
I will fully admit, I bought the Switch because of Zelda, because I was faced with the option of, do I buy a dying system or one that's just beginning its life cycle and I'm hoping is going to get a good deal of, the 3DS library, or at least some iteration of some ports from there. That's what I bought it for. That's what I was expecting. Have I been pleasantly surprised since then? Yeah. Has that been because I had the bar set really, really, really low? Yeah, also probably, yeah. Like, but don't get me wrong, like, just because I say that this ended up a good purchase for me, like, everybody again seems to think that I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm not. I'm still definitely critical of Nintendo. But I don't think that you can take Zelda out of the equation, but you can't take Zelda out of the equation because it's a launch title and a system seller, and those are so irrevocably tied to the success of a console that that history shows they kind of go hand in hand. When you come out with a good strong launch, or at least a good strong game on launch, it helps to breathe some life into the system. This thing might have been a flop right out of the gate if it weren't for Zelda. Zelda might just buy the time that they need to pad out their library enough for their, when the stock gets in and people can actually get their hands on it, that they've got a library that is worth owning. You pay the same price for any early adopters, and you wouldn't buy a Game Boy, you wouldn't buy a Vita, you wouldn't spend any money on anything portable. It's not going to suit your needs. So no, I absolutely agree. You don't need one, but I also don't think that means that there aren't people out there who this appeals to and who aren't going to pay for that premium.
I'm baffled. Like I still don't think that Zelda, at least like any Zelda, has been a system seller. Like maybe Ocarina of Time is the only one I could think of. But this game, like the only reason why this game is selling the way it is because people need to buy a game to play their console with.
Yeah, and that's the only real viable one now. Let's just be honest.
If that were true,
ain't nobody buying a Switch for snipper clippers, whatever.
So why are you seeing more copies of Zelda bought than you have Switches?
Because they probably can't buy Switches to play the thing.
Well, okay.
So wasn't that what Capcom said when with Dead Rising and Xbox 360? It was something about it because there was a reason why they didn't want to keep making them, and then Microsoft said, "All right, we'll publish it." And I think it was because of that. It was like they said, "Well, we noticed that everyone bought it, but they bought it because it was a launch title. They needed something to play." Because then when they released the second one, it didn't sell as well.
Yeah. Are you talking about the second game?
The first game was a launch. Remember, it was killing boxes because of all the shit it was causing. But when they launched the second game, it just didn't sell as well. And then they didn't bother with the third, and that's when Microsoft jumped in and said, "Oh, we'll cover it." But it's one of those things. Like
they came out with Dead Rising 3, though.
Well, Microsoft did it.
No, what? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Because Capcom was like, "No, we're not doing it," and they're like, "Well, we'll pay for it if you." They're like, "All right, then it's yours."
Yeah, and that was a launch title too, Xbox One.
Yep, exactly.
And it sold very well, from what I remember.
Because it's a launch title. Launch titles
always sell well.
Yeah, people need something to play.
Exactly. Remember Resistance Fall? Man, that game sold like 8 million, right? Then the sequel, none of the sequels sold that much.
Knack is getting a fucking sequel, man.
Yeah, Knack. Why? Because that was a launch game.
Okay, but how critically acclaimed were any of those games?
Not very. The Knack wasn't
critically acclaimed. Knack. Fucking
Killzone certainly wasn't.
Resistance was. People like that game.
People were amazed with Dead Rising to have all those zombies on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, Dead Rising was a great launch title, though. Like that was a box killer. Like I killed my first Xbox playing that game because
it literally killed your box. Yeah, it was killing boxes.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Like a strong launch title definitely does help, and especially a critically acclaimed one. So,
well, not really. I mean, PlayStation was able to sell over 2 million units globally with Knack and Killzone and the other crap. Like people were buying PS4 without anything really that was worth owning. In the first month.
Heck, PlayStation 4 didn't have anything worth owning in like the first year.
Yeah, and people still bought that shit.
Yeah,
so I did. Saying, Carlos, is that the PS4 had no games?
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, let's fucking be honest. This is the fucking throwdown, man. Let's be honest.
Yeah, man, let's keep it real, motherfuckers.
PlayStation 4 didn't really have anything to brag about since till this year, man.
I don't know about that, man. Last year we had
Uncharted.
Uncharted. Okay, name me like 3 more exclusive titles that are worth getting.
Bloodborne was probably the first one,
Drive Club, The Order.
Drive Club. I was just playing Drive Club an hour ago. Yeah, damn right.
Carlos, I'm fucking with you. I hate those games.
No. Adam was being serious though.
Carlos, you can't.
Look at my history. I was playing that.
You can't ignore Bloodborne and Uncharted though, man.
No. I said name 3 more other than Uncharted.
Uncharted.
Yeah, I'll give you Bloodborne.
Drive Club.
Yeah, and me personally, I would throw Infamous. I love that fucking game.
Oh, Infamous Second Son.
I'd throw in the order, but everybody would be like, "Oh,
Hey man, I'm with you on the order, and I'm not lying about that.
No, you know what?
Wait,
No,
whoa. You would have bought a PlayStation to play the order?
Oh no, hell no! I'm talking about the first, after the first year.
Well,
I
Brett is
would have
making
bought
my
that shit
point,
for the
Mikey.
order. Get out of here.
No,
I thought
that's
I thought Carlos was saying just talk about 3 big launches.
Yeah, that's what I thought he said. Yeah,
games. Yeah, that came out exclusively for it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
those are the ones that even the order. I didn't know the order was going to suck the way it was when it was hyped up.
I did.
I did. There you go.
I told Charles and Tony that order was not going to get reviewed well. They said that I was full of shit, and then it happened.
And then,
and you were still full of shit because
actually, the order did.
I
The
said
order
it
did
was not
quite
going
well.
to get reviewed very well. That's what I said.
Yeah,
and it didn't
you
get.
were
reviewed
right
well.
about that. Yeah, you were right about that.
So like just to make my point, like there's slim pickings, man. Like not until this year. So
Oh yeah,
like,
this has been the year of Sony's rebirth. But I know what your point is. Like without having big ass games, Sony still killed it. You know,
That's
right.
mostly third parties.
Yeah, and it's mostly third parties.
I would
driving
have to
those
admit
sales.
that like this first quarter of 2017 has been better than like everything prior, like PS4 wise.
well, that's
every year.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, combined, it's been like
Yes.
just hands down like wow, it's actually like if someone bought like a PS4 for Christmas 2016, then they are just smiling like mad right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like give me your best title of any previous year, and I'll throw you Horizon.
That's the thing. That's what I was telling somebody at work about this. It's like I don't think even if when the Xbox launched, it had no issues and it was a low price and no problems with Connect, I think it would still be in the same spot it is now, just because of the titles. It just doesn't have the games. So I think people would have eventually just jumped ship just on the games alone. If everything was fine and they had no issues of what happened, people go where the games are. Bottom line.
But going back to the point, like the reason why. Oh shit! What were we talking about?
we went off. We were talking about the Switch. The Switch
you can't have one or the
console.
other.
Yeah, we were talking about Switch and launch lineup games and shit. You know.
Oh yeah, so like, fuck. I had a point. I just don't remember what it was.
Right, anyway, I'm gonna read.
I love Fusion Frenzy.
Well, I was going to say that
Go ahead,
why I
Chris.
argue that third-party support is so important, because that's what carried the PS4 and even Xbox in the beginning, and has carried PS4 all the way to where it is now, right?
Yeah,
they didn't carry my 3DS.
Sony doesn't have a recognizable character, really. They don't have one mascot, and they don't have that game that sells the system, right? They rely on other things coming together. They got Bloodborne and they got, Horizon and all this stuff. I mean, Guerrilla's second party, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's third party support is very important. No company is an island. So this is why if you don't have that support, like you gotta tread water on your own, and eventually you're gonna sink.
Yeah. All right. I want to read the last part he wrote here. He goes, the last 3 Nintendo consoles have had unorthodox controllers by default, and I'm tired of paying extra money to play games the way and I'm tired of paying extra money to play games the way I want to, and Nintendo trying to force me to play games how they want. He's talking about buying another controller, real controller. The Wii at least allowed you to use the GameCube controllers. The Wii U, you had to buy an adapter just for Smash Brothers to use the GameCube controllers. I don't think it worked with the other games. I know for sure it didn't work with Mario Kart. Other than that, you had to buy the quote-unquote classic controller. So that's an adapter and a controller at this point, just so you don't have to use the big screen or a Wiimote. Frankly, I'm tired of it. Hey, man, I mean, that was the main thing that kept me away from Nintendo for years. I'm like, okay, the fucking dildos, I don't want to play with that shit, that big-ass tablet shit. I'm like, what the fuck is that
Hold on a second. Hold on. Are you saying that the bullshit GameCube controller is the definitive Nintendo controller? The GameCube controller was in and of itself unorthodox. It is not the
Ooh, that's a good
default.
question. Yeah.
Well, after the SNES,
No, but it was the last real controller they made, because when they decided to jump ship onto motion controls, they have never had a controller. Remember, that's back when they were innovating. They made the Wavebird. That was the first wireless controller, and that was based on the GameCube controller design.
Yeah.
I mean, GameCube is a solid controller, and honestly, like I'd take that over the freaking Wii remote and the gamepad. All that
Really?
other bullshit.
This is you remember the Dreamcast had already come out, and Xbox had already copied its design at that point. Like we had successful ergonomic controls in the wild. Nintendo was like,
Dreamcast was ergonomic, man. Really? Dreamcast
compared to the
ergonomic?
GameCube controller.
Oh no! I go hold a Dreamcast controller. That Knights controller that they used, that Sega used to make the Dreamcast.
Oh, the
that wasn't
Sega
very
Sat, yeah, that's a
you know.
prototype.
Yeah, and the Duke one, no ergonomic. The Duke was made for a freaking giant's hands.
Yeah.
Dude,
When you got the S controller, that's when.
Yeah, the Duke was fucking terrible. But I'll say this. Yeah, that thing was fucking. Dude, I have big ass hands. Even though it was too big for me. Like, what the fuck is this shit? You know?
Dude, I loved that thing.
I hate it. But
I was so mad when they made it smaller.
Going back, GameCube controller. I think it's a terrible fucking controller, but I would rather play with that than a fucking Wii mode any day of the week. That bullshit with the Here's the thing: Nintendo lost me as far back as the Nintendo 64. That had a shitty controller. GameCube had a shitty controller. The Wii had a shittier controller. The fucking Wii U had a shitty controller. The Joy-Con is probably finally the first one was like, okay, I if you put it into the little dock, okay, that's kind of conventional. So you at least met people halfway there. But for the past since 1996. Oh my God, it was 20 years. Horrible fucking controllers, bro. So I'm with Gority on that one. People don't want to play that shit. But I think that pretty much does it here. Unless anybody has any final thoughts on anything.
Yeah, just that I'm guessing from Gority's comments that he hasn't played around with the dock Joy-Cons, because while they're not the most ergonomic thing in the world, they're plenty fine to play long gaming sessions on. I played 5 hours, my hands didn't fucking hurt. It's not the Xbox and it's not the PlayStation, but it is a functioning controller that is somewhat similar to what you're wanting. And I've actually been hearing a lot of people who I talk to saying that they're really enjoying playing with the Joy-Cons separated. In fact, I've run into several people who sent their Pro controller back because they just don't.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. They're insane. They're insane.
Yo,
that's like you sending your DualShock 4 back and I'll just play with the Move.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make any sense,
Well, no, because when you hold the Joy-Con separately, you don't have to use them as motion controls. You guys know that, right?
Yeah, no, you don't have to. But why would you do that? That makes sense.
So you can rest your arms comfortably wherever you want.
I don't care. I don't care who you are. Everyone who's used a Pro controller prefers that over the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So if they have that and they could use that, I don't see why they would return it when they already bought it.
Yeah, they have to.
I don't.
I'm
the guy that you haven't met apparently, because I like Joy-Cons.
Did you buy it?
The Pro controller, yeah.
So you're returning it?
No, but I do find that sometimes I prefer to play with detached Joy-Cons.
And over the Pro controller?
Yeah, dude, because I can sit back and lean both shoulders across the couch, put an arm behind my head, stick one arm out like that, and play games just seamlessly. I'm not locked into this position. And as an artist, my arms get tired. I'm fucking locked in this position all day long. My arm is always forward like this. I'm drawing and I'm doing this. How nice it is to be able to stretch out and just play games like this, or put my hands behind my back and play games like that. It's once you get used to it, you kind of find the controller experience a bit constricting at times. Don't get me wrong, I still love the Pro controller and I still love my PlayStation controller and I still love playing on a conventional gaming, but I like the option to be able to switch back and forth. I wouldn't say that you need a Pro controller to be able to enjoy gaming on the Switch. That's just a weird thing that people have gotten really used to their Xbox controllers are thinking.
I don't think how that's weird though. It's if something's been perfected, you don't really need to change it. That's what gaming has been. You sit there like that, and a controller has been perfected too. I don't personally see any reason to change that at all.
I'm really surprised that the DualShock 4 didn't take out that touchscreen.
But I'm like, let me play a game like that. That's stupid. That's not how you play games, man. You play it like that. Doesn't make any sense.
We got to make a T-shirt, the Brett. We know.
Fuck yeah, I can play games like this. Fuck yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, but
it's
you know
nice
what?
Even just being able to lay both arms at your side, man. Even just being able to rest your arms and take the shoulder, the strain, like, because I don't know if anybody else has like work fatigue, but like my fucking rotator cuff gets fucked up from tattooing too long, and like just the holding my arms like this puts the weight of my shoulder on my rotator cuff. If I could just lay my arms down on their sides, suddenly like I'm not holding the weight of my own arms anymore, and that makes a huge difference after fucking 12 hours worth of tattooing.
Brett, I got a question for you, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you could say this publicly, though, right? Did Nintendo reps come to you and they go, what kind of controller do you need? Did they take notes? Because it seems like this system was made specifically for you, man.
I think I'm just one of the lucky ones that this ticks all the boxes, which is why
did Kimishima come over? Mr. Brett Murdoch.
Actually,
I was play Shovel Knight. I've never played it. Perfect.
Perfect. You never played Shovel Knight.
I hadn't even. Well, I knew it came with like the little bumpers, but I hadn't actually tried it until I came across a Reddit thread that was talking about people being like, yeah, it takes a couple hours to get used to, but once you do, like, it rivals the experience on the Pro Controller. And I was like, nah, bullshit. So I played with it for a couple hours. It's sure as shit. Like, there's a bit of a learning curve, but the second you used to, you're like, this is actually really nice. Like, I kind of enjoy playing with, the controller broken in half for certain games. For other games, we got to be pawing all over the controller to hit combos. Like, I probably wouldn't play Street Fighter with the Joy-Cons detached. But
there is
like,
an emergency, Mr. Kimishima. We have found that someone is enjoying this.
Well, I mean, Street Fighter wouldn't be as bad because you wouldn't have to use the right thumbstick. The thing with me is if I'm playing 2D games, the Joy-Cons don't have an issue. Like, I don't have an issue with the Joy-Cons. It's when I'm playing 3D games, when I have to like aim, when I have to look around with my right thumbstick, that just screws everything for me because the way it's positioned right below the buttons, it feels so uncomfortable. Like every time
do you not have the little horns that you put on the side?
You're talking about the adapter thing?
Yeah, it's like a little silicone grip cover that gives you a little extended grip on the base, on the bottom.
Yeah, I still don't like it though. Like I don't like the feel like when I have to like move my thumb from the right thumbstick to the buttons. It always feels uncomfortable.
I have not noticed that.
So like if you're trying to like move around little, like let's say you're playing a Call of Duty type game and you're trying to you're like moving around and then you reload with Y, which is normally the button to reload, then it just feels like you're thinking about where you're placing your fingers because it's in an awkward position.
All right.
Maybe.
No,
I guess I'm not going to argue with that. I haven't had a problem with it. But again, I seem to be the exception to the rule with most people.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, man, let's wrap this up here. Good show here. All right, thank you for watching and listening. Leave us the questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or on the Coalition, and we'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight is joined by Emilio Lopez.
I'll see you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Do yourself a favor and go listen to Kendrick Lamar.
Never heard of him.
Random.
Bill Lamar?
Yeah, Bill Lamar. Phil
Lamar.
Right? Yeah, right.
The
Bring
voice
him
of
back
Samurai Jack.
from the dead. I'm thinking about Phil Hartman now. Why am I thinking about Phil Hartman? Anyway, Brett Murdoch.
These opinions have been in no way sponsored.
Yes. Kimishima. Adam Vale.
Fun with life and don't drink and drive.
And Brian Manjoma.
If you have not done so already, then go play Journey. It's actually a really good game.
Yeah, man.
And y'all give me shit for Shovel Knight.
No, nobody give you shit for Shovel Knight. I played it already.
Yeah, it's old.
All right, people. And remember, Brian's not a PS4 gamer like that. All right, people. Later.
Peace.
Peace.
Deuces.